I still need a haircut though.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard. You liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him.
It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism.
What he means by pessimism is resistance. And that's what COINTELPRO was all about, stopping the resistance.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change.
We hide it in plain sight. One of Plato's greatest works was the allegory of the cave. I feel in order to understand the political matrix, we need only to look into this allegory. We first have to open our minds to the possibility everything is not as it seems, that things we've always known to be truth may be lies. For if we can't perceive the lies we've ingested, we can't see the bars on our mental conditioning. For that is how you walk out of the cave and see the political matrix. Hello, and welcome. This is the Political Matrix. I am your host, Marcus Young Morpheus Cage, here with my lovely co-host. As you guys can see, Teal is on camera. Welcome, Teal.
Hey, y'all. It's been a long time.
So throw some shout outs. I see Miguel in the building. I see Jackie is out there. Blue Sky at David Michael MC. What a long name, but yes, you get all your points out there.
Hey, Jackie from the UK.
Working on getting your shipment out. It's some logistics getting stuff shipped from America to overseas. You guys would not know. But anyway. Oh, we got some interesting stuff. I didn't know how to really title all this because I was going to kind of leave this show a little bit more open so we can just kind of go and talk about whatever topics that we had on our mind. And then I realized there was some stuff that happened this week that we do need to talk about. So
Luigi.
I wanted to put this out there. So what the topics that I put just in the title and the thumbnail alone, I put double taps, referring to Pete Hexas, of course. Mergers, a huge merger that is going on that is probably going to affect many things. As far as the entertainment industry and some of the propaganda which goes on is definitely going to be influenced and affected. So we will talk about that. MIGA. Yes, I didn't say MAGA, I said MIGA. We're going to talk about that because our colleagues over there at Due Distance has done some really good work unearthing some stuff that I didn't really have my eyes on, but it doesn't surprise me, but it's good when you hear people say the shit out loud. So we're going to go into that. I'm going to share a little clip on that. And of course, Teal, what stuff you've been looking at this week?
Luigi.
Luigi Mangione?
Yeah, he's going to get free off a technicality.
What? That's huge news.
They tell him that they didn't read him his Miranda rights.
Wow, they did. How do you not read the Miranda rights of all things?
For the dude that killed a CEO. We're not going to get into it, but nevertheless, that's what they claim.
Allegedly. Yes, the guy who allegedly killed a CEO.
Allegedly. Well, shit, he didn't now. Can't do double jeopardy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, if they're letting him out, that's amazing. I still need to get around to seeing the Diddy video that everybody's been talking about.
I haven't watched the Diddy documentary yet, but
that's what I mean.
Seen bits and pieces. Yeah.
Because 50 is being 50 right now. And a lot of that's been going viral. Oh, yeah.
50 Cent for being 50 Cent. We need more people like 50 Cent.
Yes, the world is a lot better place with interesting characters.
Trollers. Yeah, we need trollers. We need people.
Well, some of them. Folks. I mean, have you heard of that one? What's his name? Dalton something, who's been going around trolling black people.
Lord have mercy. I mean, shit.
You know, the one who pulls up on them and then starts, throwing N bombs at them and then flashes guns at them.
See, okay, that's not what not that guy. Some
Now
trollers.
he's
Everything else
doing
is
he's
stretching.
he's doing what they all do, and it's like it's weird to me that I don't know if the right doesn't see it or if they just want to reward people who will do it. He says, "Oh, I'm just doing free speech. I'm not racist. It's just free speech." And so now he's on there with a GoFundMe saying that his business is threatened and he can't make money and he got fired from his last one because a BLM activist got him fired for his comments, and now he's
Well, that's his
screaming.
fault.
Now he's screaming that I need y'all to go fund me to help me out because they're hurting my business for free speech.
No, that's your fault. Oh well.
I don't know. So it's just interesting.
Oh well.
Blue Sky said Luigi's lawyer Karen, who is assumed to be good, but was silent, is Diddy's lawyer's husband. Interesting threads. So I'm glad Luigi might be free soon, but I'm a bit worried about the reason. I'd have thought for a case as huge as this, the police would make sure they dotted the I's and cross the T's.
Me too.
Well, you would think so, but what I'm starting to learn more and more, especially about the American justice system, is you have so many people who have so many different interests involved that they're not always paying attention to the little things. You got some of these people who are just want to move up the ladder. And they don't care about actually doing their job. They care more about moving up the ladder. So they don't care if they're going after you and you're guilty and they're trying to actually get a guilty person, or they don't care if you're actually innocent. They only care about how this is going to affect their career path. And so a lot of these people are so focused on this high profile case. If I do this and this and this, I'm going to win, that they don't focus on doing the basic details. It's just, you would think that would be common sense, that most people would think, well, if I'm doing this career, I need to follow these steps. But more and more, I see people in higher positions that blow my mind. How like it's not together as we all would think some of these things are together.
Hell no.
We see so many jobs and we are major corporations, and I can tell you, I deal with major corporations, and you would be blown away at like how ass some of these places run. I won't name the company, but I'll just name one in general. Part of my job is ordering different things. And a major company ordering something over $10,000 motor that we're ordering. Order this motor. They get it so it goes to our other third party. Set all that stuff up. I get an email back almost instantly. Order confirmation is approved. It will be at this date, this time, whatever. I go to lunch, come back an hour later. The supervisor who's over that department has now CC'd me into an email with their third party warehouse, and it's saying from the warehouse, well, I don't know what to do because I don't think we can get it out on the flight, or I don't know, maybe we got to charter it. I don't know what to do. And that manager's back like, I didn't get any emails about this. I don't know anything that's going on. Well, just do whatever you have to.
Do whatever you have to.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is a company that's definitely in the hundreds of millions. And there are people in supervisory positions just like, I don't know what to do. I mean, you'd be surprised how many. Last week, remember I showed you guys about the Biden advisor who basically didn't understand
where the money went,
where the money went, why we borrow money, any of that. And it's like the more and more I look into these people who supposedly run us, the people who are in charge, of making sure, point A gets to point, things get from point A to point B, or that this country is basically run. Like I remember
No, they
somebody,
don't know how to do that shit.
I
They don't
remember
know.
somebody saying a while ago. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't somebody saying it. It was in that Obama, the Obama's movie. You know which one I'm talking about, Till?
Mm-mm.
What was it like? End of tomorrow or some? I can't
Oh,
remember.
the one with Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and the
Uh,
president was a fucking idiot.
no, 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 not that one. The one with Julia Roberts.
Oh no,
Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali. Um,
Ben Stiller as the husband or some wild ass shit.
I think it's Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, that's who it is. Yeah, long face ass man.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And he has the people staying in his house, and then shit hits the fan, and so he decides he needs to go back to his house. Him and his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know what it is. I see Tom's in the chat. What's up, brother? Good to see you.
Hey Tom.
But remember, he was saying like nobody's in charge. And there's some truth to that. Of course, we know better that it's definitely not nobody in charge. There's people up there who are pulling strings. But what it is they have so many things that are run at such high levels with people who are just leave the world behind. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you. Leave the world behind. There are so many things that are almost run on autopilot. Like people don't know why they're doing this. Somebody is just, well, this is what they did before I got here. This is how I was trained. No
Yes.
thought to why you're doing what you're doing or why this does not make sense. No thought on
change,
the other side.
No
Yeah.
upgrading the procedure or nothing. I get it.
Nope. It is not even a thought of it. It's, well, I'm in this position now. I make this amount of money. I'm just going to do what I need to do. And as long as I don't have somebody higher up than me come and tell me that what I did is wrong, then I'm not going to change or alter anything. And that doesn't just go to, that person you see in a hardware store who's just sitting there playing on their phone, who don't give a damn. It goes much higher. It goes all the way up the chain in a lot of these places. And that's the reason why there is somebody, that's the reason why it is people who are able to sit there and pull strings and levers, because you got a whole giant part of the population who they just don't care. They're just going to do what they need to do to get their paycheck and go home. And they're never going to question anything. And we see it more than ever. Like I used to think like, oh, well, these politicians get in there and they're just so super smart and they understand everything they doing. They know how they're fucking us over. Many of them don't. Many of them are just idiots.
And they're just fucking you over because the last year you started fucking you over. They just keep the pot going because the pot got to keep cooking.
Exactly. They're following orders.
Yeah, now they are. Now I would tell you that most people working for the government or how the government functions, and take the military for instance, those are nothing more than people that can take really good orders, man. That's all they want. Military only wants people that want to take orders. If they wanted niggas that thought for themselves, they wouldn't be in the military.
I'll tell you the only exception to the rule I say in the military, I gotta stick up for the Navy. Navy is probably one of the only ones that be questioning stuff, and that's why it's always problems with the Navy.
No. I wouldn't even say like off the cuff, like every individual, person per branch will question some things, but I'm stating like more or less like that's what the military is for. That's the
yeah.
You're supposed
overall,
to
definitely.
Overall, exactly. Now, in my opinion, when you look at when you look at where the military sits in reference to our politics or in reference to our government system or whatever have you, y'all on the fucking bottom of the fucking totem pole. You get my drift? Like y'all are important because y'all are the military, y'all are our protection. But in reference to speaking the fuck up, nobody gives a fuck. Go fight. You get what I'm saying? But as a whole, our government is always on some either hurry up and wait or just do what the fuck I told you to do. I think that just do what I told you to do. Just do what I told you to do. Just do what I told you
Mm-hmm.
to do. And that even goes as high as our president, because whoever's
Oh,
pulling his strings is definitely on it. Just do what the fuck I told you to do. Look how they did
well,
Elon. Look how it trickles down. Look how they did Elon. Trump did Elon like that with the Doge thing. He said, "Hey, just do what I told you to fucking do." Then with the helicopter thing earlier this year, with the fucking when Trump was trying to say niggas can't fly planes, and then the plane blew the fuck up, and it wasn't even the nigga flying the plane. What did he tell them air marshal motherfuckers to do? Hey, chill, chill, chill. Just do what I told you to do.
mm-hmm.
The little white girl that run the secretary thing with the press conferences, that little white girl with the fly ass mouth. What she do? The
Oh,
same
Carolyn Levitt.
thing. Yes, Carolyn. They be like, ooh, ooh. They tell her, just do what I told you to do. Then she get in there and tell the reporters, just do what I tell you to do. You see how it trickles?
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
all across.
I don't know, Till, if you agree or not, but I would actually make an argument. The higher you get up in a lot of these organizations,
Mm.
the less you think about anything. It's like the people who really like regular stuff don't click to them, and I feel like the lower you are, you could kind of get away with questioning this and that, but you're not going to get too high if you question anything.
Well, that's the
And
thing. That's the point I'm trying. That I will agree with that argument,
yeah,
because I agree with that 110%, because when you are of the lower level and you do get to questioning things, they'll keep you there. You catch my drift? Like, you're not
mm-hmm,
going nowhere. They're gonna keep you. Okay, you want to ask these questions? We got to keep you over here in the bubble. Remember how we kind of looked at Diddy? He got to
mm-hmm,
questioning too fucking much, and now look at his head, because
mm-hmm.
they can end your shit quick. But when it comes to like the others, it's it's because you don't think. It's because you allow them to think for you that you've made it this far.
Right.
This would be a bad time for you to want to change that if you've gotten so far or so high in the mix.
Yeah, I remember. I'm trying to remember what his name, a journalist who he was doing a lot of the Russia Ukraine stuff,
A
and
dingo ate my babies in here. Oh, hey baby.
yeah.
Sorry.
Why come why come I can't remember his name? But he passed not too long ago, you know. But he was like, I grew up in the elite society. I mean, not society. Well, I guess society as a community, but not like secret societies or anything. But like he grew up, like I think he went to Harvard or something like that. Um, I keep thinking something with the L. There you go, Gonzalo Lira. Gonzalo was talking about how y'all would be blown away. Like a lot of us have it in our head that like, no, these are very, very smart people that they're just intentionally corrupt. Some of
Oh,
these people are dumb or
yeah.
just like they it's not that they don't question because they don't want to tip over, they don't want to rock the boat. They don't question because it's never occurred to them to even think there's a problem. Like these people are so like
Tapped out.
completely, yeah, that they don't even there's no questioning. They can walk outside and the sky is purple and they're not even going to question. They don't even see that the sky is purple. That's what I'm trying to get across to many people, because I've even seen that within many community groups that, that I guess straddle multiple different communities, and they'll say, oh, well, they know this and they know this, and this is why they doing this to us. No, they don't know that. They do not. You're giving these people way too much credit. Now, the people who are all the way up at the top, they know.
Oh, oh yeah, them niggas talk amongst each other.
But that knowledge and information does not drop below a certain level. Like, yeah, you can be a CEO of a company and still be a complete dumbass. And many of these are, because they came out through legacy, they moved straight up, and they've just been promoted up without ever having to think about anything. They come in, they sit there at their little board meetings, they yada yada yada, this and this, go out sailing on the fucking weekends, and oh, we're gonna go to St. Bart's this weekend, and that's their life. They don't really think about day-to-day business. Most of them don't. Or if they do, it's very surface level.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, falling upwards. And we have gotten an impression like you now, don't get me wrong, there are some of them who do consciously know what the hell is going on and know what they're doing. I'll give you a perfect example.
Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel definitely is a thought leader and knows what's going on. Boris Johnson. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Boris Johnson is even more devious because he pretends to be an idiot.
Ain't that the UK?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He pretends to be an idiot, but he is extremely intelligent.
Hey, I got a joke though. You ready for this joke?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why does Boris look like he literally translates as UK Trump?
Yeah. That's exactly
Like
who he's.
if you were to give a caricature of Trump for the UK, it literally would just be that nigga because it'd be Trump with bad teeth and bad hair, and that man's wig top be looking extremely crazy.
Yeah, he looked like he licked a light socket.
Every time, bro. I know I be talking mess about Candace Owens' edges, but man, that man's edges is ridiculous. Boris, get you some hair plugs. Turkey is right around the corner, bro. I know you good for it. I know you good for it, dog.
But it's part of the hustle with him. It's part of the hustle.
I know he trying to give you that I'm Albert Einstein and I'm a crazy scientist ass look. No, bitch. You look homeless. But then he's trying to give you the I look homeless, you know what I'm saying?
I do. Jackie, I do believe that's correct. I believe his parents were ambassadors. And he was born in New York also.
Jesus.
Not raised in New York, but born there. Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. Jackie told me happy birthday. Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate you.
But that's what I see. Yonina's hopped into the chat. I see Warren is here. Also glad to see you guys all. Another thing, there's been a lot that's been going on with Peter Thiel that I've been kind of following, but it's like some of this stuff would be such a deep dive that I haven't really taken the time to put it together, and I don't really want to put it together if I'm half-assing it, so I just haven't touched on it. But I mean, if the conversation, leaves the opportunity, we will get into it. Right. Did you see what's going on in India?
Nah, what happened? They fighting people? They got a natural disaster? What's going on there?
Oh, fighting people would be a good thing.
Oh Lord!
Compared to what's going on over there, I actually kind of feel bad for him. I really do feel bad for him right now. I don't know if this is intentional, but I just thought it was interesting. Oh, come on. This new way that they do chat on X is annoying. I'm probably going to have to start switching and put my link somewhere else. Because now I can't even see exactly what none of this stuff is. I got to open every single link. And I'm pretty sure I have my autoplay on. Let's see. Is this the one? Oh, no. Hold on a second. Till take it for a minute while I pull up these links. I want to try to find this one real quick.
Okay, boom. We're gonna talk about Luigi. So, word on the street is Luigi is gonna get freed based off a technicality of the police not reading his Miranda rights upon the execution of him being like pretty much found out. Right now, me personally, I know we rapped about it a little bit, but this is the time I stance on it. Me personally, I just find it quite odd that this type of technicality would be the means in which this man gets out. Now, part two. My conspiracy theory brain is at a point of did my man's cross over? You feel me? Like, is he about to be doing work for the government forever? Is my man's a hitman? Or ladies and gentlemen, is he gonna die when he gets out? So, or is he even gonna make it out? Is he gonna die in there? There's 4 different avenues we can go out when it comes to Luigi as of right now. My brain, just based off of how our government works, how people in power like to use their power after the fact, and just some wild ass shit. Because I remember there was a show that came on Adult Swim. It's with old boy that was in Talladega Nights, Shake and Bake or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He did this weird ass show where he just did like a variety.
John C. Reilly?
Yes, John C. Reilly show. Thank you. The one where he fucking did the whole like random ass goddamn variety show or whatever. He was playing off an actual variety show that was on during that time or during the 60s and 70s. Well, come to find out, the nigga that was actually doing this show was pretty much using his platform to scream out to the public the conspiracies that we are now seeing unfold in front of our eyes and shit. He was just way ahead of his time. my opinion, he was not. It wasn't so much that he was not right. He was just not right then. He was just not right now. And so I'm listening to what happened to this man, and he was like calling niggas out and telling people, you know, this is all these wild ass things that are happening. The NYPD is dirty, the police is dirty, da 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 da. Our government don't give a fuck about us, da 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 da. Well, there's this dude, we just gonna call him ricotta cheese, you know, Salvatore Calzone. So Salvatore Calzone happened to be a police officer for the NYPD, and he literally went out his way to fuck with this man. Like he went to his house, beat him up in front of his house, then locked him up. Like he would just berate this man because he kept talking shit. And so one day he said, "Hey, Salvatore Calzone is whooping my ass, and he's a dirty fucking cop." Da, 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 da. Oh, that made them come even harder on this man, tormenting this man until he died, pretty much. Then it comes out after the fact that this same police officer is in fact torturing people and had been torturing people the entire fucking time. So the man was telling the truth. Salvatore Calzone was a horrible fucking person. So he worked for the NYPD. Now let's continue to fast forward. He ends up getting knocked because of these charges and then gets locked up with Epstein.
Hmm.
And he's the last motherfucker that saw Epstein alive. Now I say all that to say this. Was this motherfucking an elite hitman? Is he the motherfucker out here doing cleanup jobs? You know, Salvatore Calzone? Is Luigi about to be the next cleanup man? Is Luigi a John Wick and we don't fucking know it? You know what I'm saying? Or is he some dude that really got pissed off and really did the dude on some Robin Hood shit and now they're about to off Robin Hood? Decisions. And you're telling me all of these conspiracies that I just came up in the last 10, my little rant or whatever, you're telling me I am the only person on this earth walking with these same thoughts in my head. And y'all are telling me y'all let this motherfucker get off on a technicality of some Miranda rights, some shit we see on the first 48, some shit us as viewers, when we watch the first 48, that's the first fucking thing we say. It's like, oh, y'all better read him that right. So that motherfucker walking. Nigga, everybody fucking knows that shit. Every motherfucking human that has TikTok knows that shit. But you telling me these motherfuckers dropped the ball on a pivotal case of a public execution in 2025? You got me chopped.
Yeah, that's weird to me. Also, the fact that since he's that high profile,
come on,
you're telling me that the arresting officers didn't read it to him. That
after
the
doing
processing. Well, that's the thing. You have the arresting officers, multiple people who were there, who showed up. Not one of them did it. Not one of them did it. Then, once he got down to processing, nobody in processing at all. I actually, no, hold on. I'm skipping steps. Before we even get to processing, the people who were there, just an intake. You're telling me nobody at intake. Or no, I'm getting it backwards. Sorry, processing, because somebody got to just put you into the system that, yeah, we're holding you. Then you're telling me that none of the detectives who came in to speak to you read it to you at all. Then at the point when you're actually being charged, nobody read it to you then either, because typically I know that on TV and stuff, you see them read it like one time. Typically multiple people read you your Miranda rights just in case somebody else missed it. Which that's even weird that somebody would ever miss it, because
where are you going?
You're putting your cuffs on at the same time. That's like hand in hand. You're putting on cuffs on and you're saying Miranda rights at the same time. So it's weird to me that did not happen. Well, here's a good question.
Yes. Why did it take him so long? Thank you.
Well, I would say that what they were doing is more than likely the defense, if they had that knowledge at all, then they were sitting on it. But what I would imagine is the defense didn't have that knowledge. That's why it took so long to come out. Somebody within the precinct, I don't know if you guys watched Matlock back in the day. But Matlock, what would happen on Matlock is, he send out his investigator go around, ask the people, talk to this paralegal, and then somebody gets him, like they write down some information that they caught in the file from the police department and slip it to him. And then Matlock is sitting up there, and then, he sees this dude come in the courtroom, look over his shoulder, gives him a little look. He walks up behind him, slips it over his shoulder, and down there reading. It's like, oh, your honor. That's typically how it happens on TV. But I more than likely somebody slipped them some information that there was no recorded Miranda rights. That's what I would say in short. Somebody tipped them off that nobody did it. And how you're engaged with that many police officers, even up to Eric Adams, the former mayor who is a former cop, how that got missed is mind-boggling, if that's even true. I would wager that somebody definitely did give them his Miranda rights.
Jacqueline. Better talk that shit, Jacqueline. See, Jackie and I are on the same point. Like, I'm shooting holes in this fucking story, bro. And you're not telling me I'm the only one.
That's a good question also. That's a very, very good point. Even if the defense didn't know, how come Luigi didn't point it out himself? He's highly educated, and if we know something about Miranda rights, it's a fair bet that he should as well. Exactly. That is a good point. Or maybe it was Luigi who was like, hey, by the way, they never, read me my rights. I mean, it could be possible.
Like I said, there's no way you're telling me in this day and age that we don't know when my rights get read. I'm waiting to violate a Fed for that. I'm waiting to violate the police for not doing that. You understand what I'm saying? Do you know how badly what? No, I am waiting for you not to do that so I can flame your ass. You got me sitting for how long? I'm gonna sit on this for a year. You got me fucked up. I'm getting the fuck out tomorrow.
Or here's the thing. Let me add on to your conspiracy just a little bit more, Teal.
Okay.
Just a little bit more. What if somebody did? Because all those times when they're talking to him outside of him just being in the cell, it was recorded. Body cam footage, cameras in the interrogation room. Somebody could have made sure that portion of the tape went a little bye-bye. Or all of a sudden, I don't know how this happened. It's a malfunction at this very part. I know this is where we read the Miranda rights. But somehow now you can't find it and you can't produce it on film that you did it. So now it gets tossed out. I'm just saying, I don't know. What do you think, Teal?
I'm saying, is he gonna come up dead?
Well, I wouldn't think that would be the case because
is he John Wick? Is he the cleanup man?
Well, in that scenario, if I got to follow that logic, if they made something happen to the recording to disappear, then somebody made a whole nother deal with him. Now that deal could have came as of late, or that deal could have came before all of this. If you do X, we will protect you. And we'll go through this whole thing. Go ahead, smile it up for the cameras and all that. We got you. Don't worry, you're good. Or it could be a situation, you know what? We kind of liked how you got down with that, and you got those kind of skills that you trained alone. How nice could you be with some of our training? We already see that you got the spunk to go ahead and do it. A lot of people, they can do all this training and never get to the point of being able to go through with the act. If you get what I'm saying. Because one of the stats I remembered about Vietnam, it was something like between 72 and 76% of soldiers died, with their weapon in their hands, loaded, looking at the targets. Meaning most of them froze up, even though they had boot camp and this and that and trained. When it came to seeing the whites of another human being's eyes, even in a life or death situation, many of them froze. And so, what what I'm trying to say is it take a certain kind of thing in a person to be able to say, yeah, I'm willing to take you out. I'm willing to take you off the chessboard. That everybody don't have, no matter how much training you put in them. So they could have felt like, you know what? We might be able to use this young man. But at the same time, I still don't rule out the fact that this dude's back was legitimately messed up. And he's like, you know what? I'm tired of you fucking people over. Time for one of y'all to go down. I don't rule that out. Although how my mind bends, over probably the last 10 years or so, I'm less likely to believe that official narrative. In fact, I'm even more inclined to believe Luigi wasn't the person at all. That they never found the guy.
Me either.
And Luigi is just a fed actor to give them a
So we can shut the
short-term
fuck up.
win. Give a short-term win that we caught somebody. And I wouldn't be surprised if the person who set all that up was somebody within the Eric Adams, office. We got to get Eric Adams a win, catch the guy. We got somebody, but we can't send this guy actually down because we know he's not the guy. So what we'll do is we'll make it look like he's guilty. You get out there, you get you some nice photo ops. It looks real good. And then later on down the road, when it's not as much heat on the thing, we can shush this out. Let him slip out the back door in a sense. I don't know. I don't know. Do y'all think I'm way off, or could be something there? What do you think, Till?
I told you I got like 4, 5, 8 goddamn conspiracy theories with this dude. Like I'm very concerned as to how we're gonna make my man's like
Tom is with us.
excuse me. How we gonna make our man's I don't know how we're gonna make him legal. I don't know. I don't see how they fucked this one up. I don't believe it. That's just me. I don't believe it.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, but here, let me show you this thing in India. Oh man, I know you'd be hot as fish grease if this happened to you. Imagine taking a trip over there, which, hey, no diss to anybody who's Indian or from India, but I just see too many negative things that somebody would have to like give me the lowdown on all this great stuff before I say the trip I'm going to plan all the way from America is India. So no disrespect, but I have not seen enough that would make me want to save up the money to travel that far when there's a whole list of other places that is on my list. But yeah, check this out. I know, boy, there's some hot people over there right now. Well, hot literally and figuratively, but here we go.
Airfares on Saturday as hundreds remained stranded at Bengaluru and Mumbai airports. That's as Indigo cancelled 385 flights on the fifth day of a crisis that has crippled air travel. The country's biggest airline cancelled thousands of flights this week due to a shortage of pilots. It had failed to plan adequately for new rules limiting pilots' work hours. The government on Friday announced special rule exemptions for the carrier, which faces its worst challenge yet. Pilot unions strongly oppose India relieving Indigo from pilot safety norms. With Indigo's spate of cancellations, fares rose on flights operated by other airlines. The government said it was capping fares to maintain pricing discipline. New Delhi said a one-way fare for a journey up to 310 miles must be no more than $83. For journeys up to around 930 miles, it should be capped at $167. That's well under the $227 price Air India advertised for its Delhi to Mumbai flight on Saturday, which falls into that category. Indigo has over 60% market share in the world's most populous country and prioritises punctual performance and lower fares. The airline said it could return to normal operations between December the 10th and 15th.
So you get that right now. Thousands of flights are backed up in India right now because of
No.
the regulations the new regulations that came out with the pilots for pilot safety. So basically, they had been flying these pilots. I don't care if you just flew from Mumbai all the way to Singapore, and then
Get
from
back on that
Singapore
motherfucker.
to Australia, and then back, and you only had 2 hours in between. Get back on that plane and keep flying. So now they're like, no. The union fought. They're like, no, you're gonna give us this proper amount of rest. You're not gonna only pay us this amount and keep working the hell out of us. And so now they have to cap off the flights because they can't afford to. They don't have the pilots. They don't have the demand. I mean, well, they have the demand. They don't have the supply. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely don't want none of that slop I see on the videos, Archers. None of that shit.
You don't want no toe jam cookie?
Oh. And I mean, it's messed up that from seeing all these videos, it's made me like not even really like even Indian food in America. It's made me like a little skittish. So I'm like, and it sucks because I don't like to be that type of person. But man, I feel like these videos I didn't see on the internet have just fucking traumatized me. Looking at India. I don't know. Somebody will probably still be pissed off at me later on for this, but I don't know. These videos, man, they have traumatized me.
There you go.
I get to 10.
Are you going to Richmond?
Says, why don't the foot cookers just ride on top of the jets like they do when they're full? Yeah, I mean,
figure out how she get home.
Also, another thing about India is let's set aside I'll set aside some of those like viral videos of the nasty food videos.
I thought so.
Just what I saw with the pollution that's going on in the air over there with the factories, it make me just not want to go into a place that's that horrible to breathe in. I mean, not that I'm saying America is great, but you know what I'm saying. I have the documents on my other phone. What are y'all talking about? Documents? No, I don't want any street curry. Now I'm sure that they like what is that one movie that came out? Monkey Man. When you watch a Monkey Man, you see a difference. You see this extremely poor side of town, and then you literally can see the skyscrapers and the ultra rich. And so I'm sure that there's plenty of good there. It just looks like one of those societies where the gap between the rich and poor is so massive that I don't really see the levels of the middle class. I don't know what y'all think, because I definitely don't see it there. But I don't know. That was just that story I had to talk about. I had to, because it was just mind-boggling thinking that what if something like that happened here? And we were very close to that. We were very close to a situation like that if the government shutdown kept going a little bit longer, which I would have hoped that would have happened, because I feel Americans only understand pain. Sometimes physical pain, sometimes emotional, sometimes struggle. That's the only way that they'll get it. And I think the only way people realize how terrible the government is running right now is they got to actually feel consequences. And, just like it says in the Bible, spoil the rod, spoil the child. And, as many of us are just big kids, we need consequences sometimes in our lives to understand things. Dingo says, don't worry, Marcus. They have used holy cow to scrub off the places. Y'all are terrible. Yeah, I have heard that Indians are very racist. I mean, I haven't really had any encounters like that. They got um I have met some Indians who like one place I was saying the landlords were Indian and they were nice. They were pretty cool. And then I have met some that were complete assholes. So I don't know. I can't say. Let's see the girl on the hope. Yeah, but Vet Cash, I mean, I don't know. It seems like the ones who rise up here in America are all the bootlickers.
Hey Marcus, I meant to ask you, is that
Yeah,
young
yeah.
chap joining us today?
No. He has some stuff going on, so he said more than likely next weekend.
Okay.
Hopefully we get him on here by next weekend because it's a lot of stuff going on in the MAGA world that I'd like to talk to him about.
Mm.
And especially with him being formerly of with him being formerly of TPUSA, with all the TPUSA and Candace Owens stuff going on, it would be interesting. Oh yeah, that's right. I did have an interview with the Indian woman talking about the colorism and the colorism thing that was going on over there, and that goes on through a lot of the Asian countries in general. And I find that it's not even that; it's kind of a worldwide problem because we definitely have that, in various parts of Africa and also through the Latino community. In particular, Dominicans have a real bad problem with the skin lighteners and bleaching. And like I don't know if you guys saw that interview that I did with Sweta Agarwal. And she had the book Black Rose, which I definitely recommend seeing it. She talked about the colorism in Bollywood. She talked about being a darker Indian and her younger brother being a lighter Indian. And in the place where she lived, even though she's not that dark, because the area where she lived, um, she was treated like a very, very dark Indian. And then she would go to the southern part and get completely different treatment because she would be around the darker Indians. And she talked about, I mean, I put it this way: just go read her book. Go read her book. I'm a plug it right now. Let me see if I can find the cover. So that way you guys will go and check out her book.
Marcus, I'm gonna have to hop off for a second and then come back in.
Sure. Do what you got to do.
I'll be back, guys.
All right. So here I'm pulling up an image of her book for those who didn't catch when I did the interview with Sweta. Very nice woman, hopefully everything is going great with her. But part of her story, what got her to do this book was here it is, The Black Rose on Amazon. And here's Sweta right here. Part of what got her to do the book is she was on holiday or vacation, and she was trying to keep herself out of the sun as much as possible, and wanting to get her kids out of the pool so they didn't get darker. And then with the whole George Floyd stuff that happened, she got real conscious about what was going on with George Floyd. And then she started really thinking about, how she even deals with race within her own family. And one day when she was going to go get some skin bleaching cream, her daughter catching her getting the skin bleaching cream while she has spent her whole time telling her daughter to embrace herself, that she's beautiful, and basically being caught by her daughter and being made to look like a hypocrite. How that made her do a lot of self-reflection and realize, this is a sickness, this is a problem, and I shouldn't be encouraging this. I need to be happy within my own skin. And that's what led to her to write that book and become an activist against colorism. particularly in, of course, in her circles, of course, you always got to start with home. So particularly within Indian cultures, but more so just in general for all people who are dealing with this colorism thing. So shout out to Sweta. You make sure you guys go check out her book. Um, yes, it is Dingo. It is Teal's birthday, and she is partying like a rock star. And she'll be right back in. So yeah, and they're not safe. They're definitely not safe for you. I mean, when I see Sammy Souza, it breaks my heart to think that that's what you had. That's you had that much self-hatred of your darker skin that you needed to do that. I mean, when you see it's bad in Dominican Republic, it's bad in Jamaica, it's bad in Nigeria. Um, I don't know. I'm one of those people that believe that you have people who are pale, as white as can be skin that's almost like porcelain, that you have beautiful people in that complexion to people who are beautiful in the darkest of darkest browns. And we all need to just be able to embrace our own uniqueness and our own differences and our own beauty within our own cultures, within our own self, and not let beauty standards of other communities dictate what's beautiful to us. Be yourself. If Because I guarantee you there's somebody out there who loves the more darker, like I've seen a couple of models lately and they've been showing, these really, really dark complected, beautiful women and how just flawless their skin tone was. And then they were showing that in comparison with the palest of pale white women who are almost the same exact build, very similar facial structure. Is just polar opposites of complexion. And so there's beauty in all of them. We were all made these different shades for a reason. It's beauty in all of it. And so stop feeling embarrassed just because you see, if you're a more lighter complected person and you see all these people tanning and bleaching, I mean, tanning themselves to get darker and darker and darker. Don't follow that. Don't chase the need to do that. Moisturize, take care of your skin. Don't bleach and burn and yeah, don't do either. Don't bleach yourself to get a much lighter, and don't keep doing all this excessive tanning because that's bad on your skin also. So just love the skin that you're in, please, everybody. That's my little PSA on that. But let me move on to my next story. Where is it at? Let's see. What did I want to hop into next? Hold on that one. Let's get into this one about the Warner Brothers Netflix thing. What? What was that? What did I just read? Dingo, if you want to bleach that, then that's fine. Yes, that you can bleach that. You want to bleach the bottom of your feet as you walk around all day long and they're dirty, bleach the hell out of that. Bleach your hands if you do nasty stuff, but damn, Dingo, really? Yeah, that one caught me off guard. But here we go. Oh crap! I just took it off the screen. Hold on a second. Let me put it back on the screen. And this, I think, is going to be a big deal. I know that this can probably fall up under what would be entertainment news, but I do want to talk about it a little bit because I think this merger in particular is going to be a big deal. It reminds me of the whole Skydance merger, but I think this is going to be more impactful. Let's make it big.
Billion deal is shaking up the streaming world. Netflix is buying Warner Brothers Discovery. The proposed mega deal could transform Hollywood. Welcome to the Fox 11 News. I'm Laura Diaz, in for Christine Devine. If it goes through, this deal would put two of the biggest names in film and television under one roof. But what does it mean for consumers and industry employees? Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez is outside the Warner Brothers studio in Burbank to explain what this means to the consumer. Christina.
Well, it depends on who you ask. The owners, the CEOs of both companies are saying it's going to be wonderful. The people walking out of Warner Brothers here are saying off camera, when was the last time you saw one of these mergers mean more money for more people and more jobs? And there's a lot of concern. Here, take a look.
This is just seismic shift of unbelievable proportion.
The executive director of TV for Variety reacting to Netflix's $72 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers, including its film, TV studios, and HBO platforms.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky,
Does that mean Batman or Harry Potter will be streaming on Netflix anytime soon? Not necessarily. And you probably will be paying more if they do.
These consolidations are really good for consumers, and I don't see much in terms of how consumers will benefit from this. But the real question is, what does this mean for Hollywood and for workers here?
But there is concern in Washington. Democratic Congressmember Pramila Jayapal, co-chair of the House Monopoly Busters Caucus, posting on X, it would mean more price hikes, ads, and cookie-cutter content, less creative control for artists, and lower pay for workers. On the other side, Republican U.S. Senator Mike Lee, who leads the Senate's Antitrust Committee, saying the merger, quote, should send alarm to antitrust enforcers around the world. Indeed, Netflix subscriber base would jump to 420 million, dwarfing even Disney by a lot. And past history does seem to show.
We saw this year with Paramount Skydance merger, so many jobs were lost as companies were consolidated and pink slips were handed out. And that's why today a lot of people in Hollywood are very concerned about this deal and what it's going to mean ultimately for this business, which is already in crisis.
But the stock for Warner Brothers already up by more than 6%. Think about it. 72 billion turns into 82 billion if you factor in all the perks and the prices of the stock. But is it a done deal? No, not by far. A lot of regulatory oversight is going to go into this thing. So don't expect anything to happen real soon. And Paramount is making noises about trying for an even better bid from them. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm Christina Gonzalez, live in Burbank, back in the studio.
Well, Christina, it sounds great for the shareholders, but what about the everyman? When we talk about consumers, we see that the streaming costs seem to be going up, up, up.
When have you seen one of these things turn into lower streaming costs or lower anything costs? And that's what people say. It's about streamlining. It's about cutting the costs so that they can do what they do. So they can promise a lot, and we'll have to see what happens. Like I said, it'd be nice to see Batman on Netflix. I just wouldn't want to pay more for it. I think I'm echoing a lot of people, but we'll have to see.
All right, Christina Gonzalez, thank you so much for that live report.
Yeah, I think you probably already do have Batman on Netflix. Maybe not at the moment, but it does hop on there from time to time. Let's see. Yeah, you caught that too, Dingle, right? Let's see. Warn a brother. Yes, please. That's what I'm trying my best to do, to warn a brother as much as possible. Let's see. So I'm trying to read through some of you guys' comments. Comments, sorry. Oh dear, the price of Netflix subscriptions will probably go up. Without doubt, if this happens, it's going up. That's one thing you can definitely count on. But there's always pros and cons to everything, right? So let me get the pros out of the way first. The pros that I think would happen is I think that you would have better quality of Netflix films that are made. So when Netflix are making their films, I think you will get I think that you will get better improvement in some of the story writing, which already Netflix already does some pretty decent stuff that I saw. Um but you're going to have a lot of people within those industries start to lose their jobs. I also think that this is going to be a way where they can circumvent around the whole AI thing. I think that with some of the agreements that they have through the studios, it's going to make it harder for them to push a lot of the AI stuff that they want to do. Netflix doesn't already have those arrangements. And so I wonder how those contracts completely hold up when they start going into those different things. I already saw one movie that they have. It's I think it's a Tom Hardy movie that's on Netflix. The whole thing is basically like AI, and it's not well done. I mean, I can tell that it's AI. I mean, maybe if they didn't go so overkill on certain things, like there's some of the gunfight scenes where you're it's just unrealistic to say the least. It's unrealistic, and so when it's so over the top unrealistic, it's easy to start seeing some of the fakeness. Some of the car chase scenes look ridiculous. Even when you're looking at, okay, well, what city is this supposed to be? This looks like this could be one place, and they have that with I think 2 or 3 movies I've noticed on Netflix, as far as action movies, where it looks like it could be New York, but it looks like it could be LA, and it looks like it can be kind of, Miami at the same time, or the Bay Area. It looks like it's a combination of an amalgam of multiple cities. And so to a global audience who's not necessarily as familiar with the US, probably wouldn't catch it. Um, but for people who lived in some of these cities, you can kind of tell, like, wait a minute. All this doesn't fit together so seamlessly like that. Um, the movie that I'll point to where you notice it the most recently, that Anthony Hopkins movie. Um, in the parking areas, it's very reminiscent of something that you would see in New York. But when you go into some of the scenes when they're driving around the city, it's very reminiscent of being in certain parts of California. Um, and so it gives you a vibe that they're blending multiple cities into one. The same with that Tom Hardy movie, Havoc. That movie was filmed in the UK, and they tried to make it look like it was an American city, and it did not work. So I think that's one of the pros, that with Warner Brothers involved, they can make some of those things a lot more realistic. But I think it's going to come at the cost of a lot of people losing their jobs. Um, and I think it'll start with, well, the redundancy effect. Well, for Netflix, they'll say, we already have these people in house. We're only going to take your experts. We're only going to take these people. We're only going to take your high performers, and we're just going to trim the fat. Which typically what that leads to is probably about 50% of the executive team, they go, which I don't have as much problem with the executives. It's the average people who are working, the people who live out here in California, who go to the Warner Brothers lot and work there every day. In which I went on a Warner Brothers tour, had a great time, and there's a lot of people who would be working there who will probably lose their jobs, which are just average people. Because just because you work for Warner Brothers doesn't mean that you're a star. Sometimes you're just the person who literally does the lot tours, who's making probably about, you know, $15 an hour, $15 an hour, well, maybe a little bit more. Let's say 17, $18 an hour. 17, $18 an hour in LA is not much. It's literally the equivalent of being in some of these Midwest cities and making $10 an hour. So it's going to hurt a lot of like people who probably got 2 or 3 roommates who are struggling to get by. another thing is where I really think the focus is once it gets more with the whole Skydance Paramount merger and this merger, as they get more and more streamlined, it's going to get to a situation where if they want to have more CIA and more DOD interference into these movie projects and start changing scripts and doing more of that, it's going to get more heavy-handed, the propaganda that we're going to start seeing in these movies. And that's one of my biggest concerns and worries, that you're going to see more and more manipulation, i.e., the same thing you're seeing with them trying to buy it more and more of these social media sites. I've gotten to the point now, excuse me, um, where I can stream on TikTok. And I remember when I first got on there, I was kind of hoping, oh, well, maybe I can get it to streaming and be able to, you know, voice my opinions on so many different things. And I've gotten to the point where I don't really get on TikTok that often and post very much, even though I do have this, this ability to do lives. And doing lives is where you can actually start to grow your numbers and counts and stuff. And I don't do it because now it's controlled. It's controlled by people who they're going to scrutinize every little word you say. And I don't feel like I want to go to a more controlled platform and spend more energy just for them to start stripping away my content later on. And then eventually scrolling that into following other platforms. Because let me get this one video up and show you what's happened with another content creator, because it's believed that a lot of his stuff that he was doing on TikTok led to him being affected on other platforms. And so let me switch off to that. Actually, let me check the comments real quick, see what you guys are saying before I move on to anything else. Let's see. Jackie says, me and my daughter are going halves on the Netflix subscription so we can watch the final season of Stranger Things. After that is adios. I was wondering, I don't know, I've been kind of thinking about it. People talk about Stranger Things a lot, so I don't know, maybe I'll binge through it and check it out. Maverick approaches with idea. That, let's see. Marcus, you look great today. Thanks. Yeah, I trimmed up my beard a little bit so I don't look as crazy. Got my lighting finally to a good degree, and I think we worked out the kinks with the internet, so hopefully all that runs smoother. We don't have a lot of the problems that we were having before. Jackie says, I thought I saw an AI Sleeping Beauty film being advertised on the side of a bus, but it turns out it was a advert for a Christmas panto being shown at the local theater. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then Yanina says the CIA already controls Hollywood. It's true. But what's going to happen is the thing about it is they influence Hollywood. The CIA doesn't have the time to really focus on all the things that go on in Hollywood because there's so many different projects that are going on between the various different studios. It's just too much for them to be able to focus that much energy on it at all times. But as you start to streamline it and you have less and less companies that are going on, it gets a lot easier to monitor, and it'll start to bottleneck more and more of these projects. So when you have less people deciding on projects, it really puts a chokehold on what kind of projects come out. And so I worry about more individual new kind of films like we saw with Sinners, but Woman in the Yard, let's see, what was one that I saw a couple of years back that I really liked? I don't know. I just think movies like Tenet, these ones which are very interesting and brand new concepts, you're going to see less of that, and I think you're going to see a lot more just remakes, or not even remakes, just a part two or part three of something that doesn't need to be remade. We were just watching the Longest Yard remake not that long ago, and I was thinking while watching this, like, please God, don't remake this movie. The first one was pretty good. Story wise, I mean, the football part is a little cheesy the way it was filmed. Um, but the story was really good in the first one. The second one, the story was good, and the updated, modernized changes really worked. But I'm like, "Ah, don't revamp it again." Some of these things just come up with new ideas and let it go. Okay, Archer says, "Is Sisu movie? Sisu is a good movie. LOL. Saw part two during Thanksgiving. I don't know. I haven't seen part two. I saw the first one kind of on a fluke. It was just on Netflix, and I just like checked it out. Say Stranger Things is loosely based on the Montauk Project. I don't know much about that, but it's interesting. I don't know. I keep hearing a lot of people say that I need to watch it, so I may go ahead and watch it. I think it's in its final season now, so I might check it out. There's a lot of stuff that's on my list, but with work, I just don't have a whole lot of time to really keep up with a lot, especially with keeping up with the different stories that are going on and trying to, watch a little entertainment. Montauk. Talk? I don't know. Whatever. You guys knew what I'm saying. But I was talking about going to these different platforms and being censored more. And that's what I think this is when you start streamlining down where, like the Skydance and Paramount merger, you have this merger. I guarantee you'll have, like, who knows, another one, Sony will merge with Fox or something. I mean, as you start to have more and more and more of these, it starts to become to the same situation that we had, especially here in the States with our local broadcast networks. When they keep going down and keep condensing and condensing and condensing, that's when you start having that you guys know about what is it? Thing. I used to keep that clip handy. I can't remember what was it. Is it Cox Media? I can't remember. I think it's Cox, where they put together that clip of all of these different, news stations basically across the country, you know, reciting almost the same thing. Maybe they changed a word or two here or deliver it a little bit differently, but they're all basically saying the same thing. Is because it's all getting broadcasted out from this parent company. Well, after a while, as you start to see Sinclair, thank you, Sinclair. When you see that start to happen in the movie industry, there's going to be certain things where it's just going to become that's the fact of the matter. Yes, Uncle Warren plays it. Yes, often. Um, you have I'm trying to remember, what is that called? You'll have you'll have more and more of these just concerted messages. So, say for instance, you had a film. Let's take it back to, say, the early 2000s. Not even that far ago. You might have had a film that was about Egypt, and it's going to be cast this way and kind of portrayed in this way and tell a story this way. And then you're going to have another one that's going to be put on, like, done through, let's say, what, BBC or something, and they're going to do it this way, and the casting will be this way, it'll look this way. And then you'll do another one that one will be through TriStar Pictures. I don't know, is TriStar Pictures still around? Well, whatever. You guys get the metaphor what I'm saying. They'll all be talking about the same time period, the same place, same empire, but it may have differing facts, this thing might be different on this one, and which one is really true. And it forces you to say, okay, this is a movie. Let me go and just double check the historical record and find out what's true or what's not. Oh, what's going to start happening eventually is when these movies are all telling a movie that's of historical context and they're all having the same narrative, less people are going to question if this is the official narrative. And do I need to go check this out? And this is just Hollywood putting out something. And so that's why I say that propaganda that's going to start going in there and start influencing people of this is the truth of the matter, because there's so many people who believe so many things that are not true historically because Hollywood has given them the impression of what really happened. So, I mean, it's like, for instance, if you think of a lot of, I'll go into slave movies, for instance, a lot of these movies that talk about slavery, and they might show a plantation here or there. A lot of times they don't make a big influence on, I mean, not big influence, but they don't make it, I guess, well distinguished where this plantation is, what time period. Sometimes you might have to like pay attention real close to the very beginning of the movie, and it might say 1637, Jamestown. It might say that. It may not, but it'll say it that one time, and that's it. Either you got the context or you didn't get the context, and so it blurs a lot of these. Whereas slavery in America was different from place to place, plantation to plantation. You had some where on that plantation you had this person who would technically be the equivalent of a doctor, um, for that time period, who was experimenting on their female slaves in all kind of crazy different ways, which that is a true factual thing that happened. And then you'd have some where they were doing, what, nonstop to the women, and that was all they used the women for. You had another one where they put them out there in the sun, hot temperatures, hard labor, but they didn't do any of the other, the experimentation or the sexual assault. It was just, I'm just going to work you to the bone. Then you had other plantations, depending on where you were at, that had a whole different way of doing things. For instance, some of the slaves that were in the parishes down in like Louisiana and stuff like that were actually flown all the way to Paris for education. So it's very different than what was going on in, say, Georgia, or even not that far away into Mississippi. And you factor in the cotton, indigo, different things like that were picked here, and you factor into the Caribbean where it was, sugarcane, which is very brutal and hard work. And then you get where, say, the movie's put together this, they're showing this face of it because it's not a lot of people don't do as much research into it because they're showing all similar narrative. But if you were showing, well, this happened at this one, this kind of happened at that plantation, this happened at this plantation, it makes you start to wonder, well, what's the story? Because I see a conflict between these two things. These don't match up. How do I reconcile the differences between the two? And then you start to understand that in all of these different slave states, in different plantations, there were different ways that things went about. And so you can have the benevolent slave master who in his mind thought that he was a good person. Well, I don't beat my slaves. I just work them hard, and I just follow the rules and I don't overly beat them. And so you get this narrative, which that is the mentality of the Daughters of the Confederacy and people like that, and the PragerUs of the world who try to portray it as this benevolent slavery. And then you have the other side of it, the the George Washingtons where they literally yanked out his slaves' teeth to make dentures for him, you know. So you have those different levels, and without the different studios portraying these different narratives, I think it'll decline that natural curiosity for us to try to figure out more if they're all telling the same story. That's just my thoughts. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know. It's just some of the thoughts I have that we're going to start getting a concerted, you know, mono story, just like the Sinclair News, and it'll either go one of two ways. Either people are just trust it and go with, you know, after a while, that's just what it is. Because especially we live in a day where less people are actually reading books and delving into the actual history. They just prefer somebody on TikTok or Instagram to just kind of tell them what happened without questioning that either. So since we're getting more and more into the non-questioning era, I think you'll lead to more people just taking the official narrative, whatever that may be, especially since they're seeing it. And when you see something and you hear it, the combination of the two imprint on your brain a lot more than just reading it in a book. So um I don't know. I worry about the long-term effects of all of that. Says Marcus is ready for Batman and Robin to hook up in Netflix presents Batman Gotham. No, I'm not. I don't want no parts of that. I want no parts of that at all. But what I was kind of tiptoeing into the next segment about how they want one narrative and they want to control more and more. And I think that by these mergers, it'll be a whole lot easier to control anybody, you know, whistling a different tune. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. Let's see. Let me find his. So James Lee, I'm sure a little bit of this. I guess let me hold before I click on it. James Lee was a contributor with Breaking Points. I had heard of him before that, and I would catch one of his, like, you know, shorter clips that you would see on Instagram or that you would see on TikTok or something like that. And eventually, he his stuff that he put out on TikTok led to him being targeted by this woman here. So before I get to that one, I will show you him in his own words talking about him getting banned. So hold on a second. Here we go.
There's a famous saying, all tyrannies rule through fraud and force. But once the fraud is exposed, then they must rely exclusively on force. And because my entire platform is literally dedicated to exposing fraud, it is maybe not a surprise that the powers that be are laying the hammer down on me right now pretty hard, seemingly all at once, and I could definitely use some of your support. So I'll start here. A few weeks ago, the pro-Israel Stop Anti-Semitism advocacy group named me.
And so this is something that he brought up already that I wanted to jump in and notice. The fact that he said the powers that be are all cracking down on him all at once shows a concerted effort. And if they're all holding all of these things with more and more of these consolidations, with more and more of these mergers, it makes it easier to control speech. And therefore, this is a perfect example of them trying to curtail and control speech more and more and say, and start setting the boundaries, i.e., TikTok being purchased by, what is it, Larry? You guys can help me out with it. The guy from, what is it, Larry Ellison from Oracle. But let's let James continue.
Anti-Semite of the week. For what? Simply daring to call out Israel's lies and deceit. And this is what they're citing as anti-Semitism. Me saying that quote, Israel is a parasite to the world, and that their survival depends on deception, bribery, manipulation, and coercion, and that the truth threatens its very existence, which is all just factually true. There is a reason why they have a multi-million-dollar annual Hasbro budget for this exact specific purpose. They also evidently did not like that I called out the fact that the state of Israel was literally founded by Zionist terrorists and that they quite literally invented terrorism itself. Also just factually true. Just Google the King David Hotel 1946 and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. They also say that it's somehow wrong to argue that the ADL's, in my opinion, bastardized version or definition of anti-Semitism is not actually about protecting Jewish people, but is instead about protecting Israel from accountability. So I guess trying to protect Jews is bad. Anyway, the Stop Anti-Semitism group was founded by this lady named Leora Rez, and their entire platform is all about getting people fired for criticizing Israel. Honestly, I think I should probably do a deep dive on them. And I think I will. But right now, they are literally telling people to mass report my account in order to deplatform me. And maybe, just maybe by coincidence, maybe not, I don't know for sure. But the second thing that happened to me in this last week was that my TikTok account was unceremoniously banned. For what specifically? I have no idea, because honestly, I haven't even been posting there very much because they were censoring me anyway, and I really couldn't post anything. People should know, if you don't know already, that the new owner of TikTok, billionaire Larry Ellison, is the largest private donor to the IDF. Okay. And that the head of their content moderation is this lady named Erica Mindell, who is a former IDF soldier. But China is really the big problem, right? They were stealing our data. So the solution for that.
And not only is that lady Erica Mendel, formerly IDF, she was part of the Hasbro division. So this is what I was saying. Yeah, even though now I given this privilege to be able to go live on TikTok, it's like I don't even really know what to say on there right now, because I know the bias that's on there. I know what they're going to be looking for, and I guarantee you that thing is being completely patrolled by, what is it, Division 82, 8200 right now. So it's kind of like, all right, I guess I could talk live about movies or cat videos or some shit, but of most of the things which I would like to really speak on, even though I still believe that YouTube is definitely very censored and really watch everything you do also. It's definitely not nearly as bad as TikTok. I mean, X, yeah, you could say whatever you want on there, but who really wants to play around in that cesspool of white supremacy that Elon is creating over there? I mean, even if it's just a bunch of bots who are just doing it to make money off of it, it's just so toxic. I hate even getting on that site these days. I hop on there for a couple of minutes, go straight to DMs, right back and forth to certain people, maybe repost one thing or so, and then hop right back off. It's no point anyway, because even if I do post stuff, you get no engagement unless you pay for it on there. So I think that the business model for a X or Twitter is kind of eventually going to run itself into the ground, because it just doesn't make any sense the way it's being run, unless hopefully he passes it off to somebody else and it can become, the electronic town space for everybody else to go back and talk politics. But right now it's just a place for right-wing MAGA and white supremacists. So I guess they throw a little bit of sports in there to balance it off. They throw black people pointing out racists, and then a lot of women showing their glow ups, and then I guess porn. That's all the thing is become now. But sorry, anyway, I got on a tangent, went off. Let me let James continue.
Is of course to turn around and hand it over to Israel. That is totally what America First is all about. Anyway, and then you have the hat trick. Number 3, you guys remember last week when I talked about how Breaking Points decided not to air my interview with Elijah Schaffer, who is being sued currently by Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins. Well, yesterday, their producer sent me an email notifying me that my relationship with them will end, quote unquote, effective immediately. The reason they cited is that they're, quote unquote, looking ahead to 2026 and making some changes in content, and felt that my submissions did not align with their new direction. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but my gut feeling is that they probably felt that I was free speeching just a little too hard for their liking. And that is that. And quite honestly, I have absolutely no ill feelings from my side at all. I know many of you are Breaking Point supporters, right? That's probably where you first found my content to begin with. So definitely keep on supporting them if you so choose. Now, that being said, it is clear that I am under attack right now.
It's funny. Who was that said corporate points? Yes, they I don't think they could have proved that there were more corporate points than by releasing James after that and not wanting to share that. I already know that they got some pushback and some heat, because when you're in the partnership program, you're able to talk back and forth to some kind of representative. So I guarantee you somebody was like, or they were just that scared on their own that they were like, oh, well, let's just we'll talk a little bit about Israel, but we're not going to rock the boat too much, so we'll shut our damn mouths. But yeah, it definitely that definitely proves that they're definitely as corporate as could be, all about the money. Game.film, what's up, my brother? Glad to see you in here. Let's see, we're going in a different direction. Yeah, from the truth. It's like we're gonna try to find our way to tiptoe through, and talk about what's acceptable to complain about Israel. Because basically what they're doing is they're like, yo, so this is the front line of people who are criticizing Israel. They're right here on the front line. And what we're going to do is we're going to go right about here. So we're criticizing, but we're not going to push all the way up to that line so that they can be picked off. And then once they start picking off all these people and start getting closer, then we'll start shutting our mouths more and more. That's what I think is happening with them. But I still check out I still check out them and other people, just try to hear what's been going on. Since they have such a big budget and so many different people, they are able to at least bring up a bunch of different stories. So it's interesting in that respect. But one thing you got to always remember: do not trust these people. Do not take their understanding and analysis either to be, that solid. Always do, and just like you would do with independent media, make sure you go and anything that you heard that was talked about, especially if it caught your attention, go back and research that. Go talk about that. Write down this name. This person came on and said blah 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 blah. Well, who was that person? Who do they work for? Like, what is their background? What are their biases? Because everybody has biases. What is it? Let's figure this out before I just go on ahead and start regurgitating and running off at the mouth some shit that somebody else said that I never even vetted. But James, I like him because he's been a real one on this, and he's been constantly pushing back. So I'll end that one, but I kind of want to show you guys the other one that he was talking about. So when he said to stop anti-Semitism has been going after him, this is the person who's behind it. And when he started going through and doing some digging and research behind some of the stuff that's been going on between this organization, you know what? I'll let him tell you.
I'm beginning to think that there's Stop Anti-Semitism has named Miss Rachel a top 10 finalist for this year's Anti-Semite of the Year award, which unfortunately your boy did not make the list. Anyway, let's take a look at the heinous and dangerous rhetoric Miss Rachel has been spewing to the world.
Let's go back to sleep, Rahaf. We're so tired. See the bunny sleeping till it's nearly noon. Shall we wake them with a merry tune? we're so still.
Yep, sounds so dangerous, right? Sounds so dangerous, but let's get through that.
Much more sinister at play here. And as it turns out, behind Stop Anti-Semitism is a woman that is, quite honestly, much more evil than Miss Rachel could ever be. And that woman goes by the name of Leora Rez, and she is the founder and executive director.
James, why did you try to be so favorable to her? Why find this picture that's probably like 30 years old? Show this old hag for how she really looks. I'm sorry, no disrespect to people who've gotten older. And I'm just saying, if this woman is an evil piece of crap, don't try to put the best foot forward for her. I'll just be honest. How I am is, if you're a piece of crap individual that I'm covering on, I'm probably going to find one of the ugliest photos of you, so they can find that, you know what, the stuff that you say matches with the ugliness on the outside and the inside. I'm not going to try to find favorable. I'm not saying this woman is gorgeous or anything like that, but I'm saying that this is definitely favorable if you look at her other images.
Of Stop Anti-Semitism. According to her bio, she is a refugee from the former Soviet Union where anti-Semitism was rampant, she says. And she goes on to say that sadly in the United States, she encountered disturbingly similar rhetoric and behaviors. Disturbing and dangerous rhetoric, you say? Evidently, Rez is a failed fashion blogger in the business of, quote unquote, creating consequences.
Yes. Now look at this picture. Does this picture look like the last picture he showed? This looks like a woman who's living a hard life. Well, let's let it continue.
While desperate to avoid them herself, they say. Last year, she allegedly used fake addresses in empty buildings to try and avoid a defamation lawsuit. Let's take a listen to what happened there.
There has been some deep dives into stopantisemitism.com. One of the defamation suits that they have faced had to do with the fact that they literally defamed a young hockey player at a school who, did something bad. He vandalized and did graffiti. But Stop Anti-Semitism wanted to take it a step further and claim that he was doing graffiti of swastikas, which wasn't true. In fact, rabbis at the school came out and defended this individual who we don't know the identity of. This person is a minor, but they also allowed him to apologize for the graffiti at the school during Shabbat, knowing that people weren't going to have their phones on them and they couldn't record it and then out him and just.
I got to admit some more of my pettiness. Even though Anna is 100% right about what's happening and in the story, something about nails on the chalkboard having to listen to this from Anna Kasparian. I can't stand TYT. Well, I put it. Let me take that back. I don't mind. I like Dr. Rashard Ritchie. I like the guy that does the TYT sports, hearing from them. But anytime I see Jank and Anna, I just want to start banging my head into a wall. I'm sorry.
Story his life. My point is, antisemitism.com defamed him, claimed that he spray painted swastikas. That was not the case. In fact, rabbis came to his defense and debunked that. The student then filed a defamation lawsuit. And it's impossible to sue the woman who's behind this account because she uses fake building addresses and things like that to evade defamation lawsuits.
Wow, talk about hypocrisy, right? Rules for thee, but not for me. So you know what we have to do today. We're, of course, going to expose her. You come after Miss Rachel, and I will come after you. Context is that there's a group called Stop Anti-Semitism that is accusing Miss Rachel of having transformed her platform into a, quote, amplifier of Hamas propaganda. This is the post that they're citing as anti-Semitic, which the message here is.
Yeah, I wanted to share this. It says, although Anna Kasparian has been doing some good work, she says she's scared to talk to Black people in a low-key manner. I don't think it's low-key. I think it's high-key. She probably don't like Black people in general. Probably don't like a lot of people. She was one of the people who were leading the push against, we need to get these homeless people just out of here. and this is also the same woman who was giving all kind of credit and props to Madeleine Albright, and it was like, no, that's not good. The same woman who was like, Margaret Thatcher was, so it's like, no. When you give props to some of the most horrible people who are out there and say it's your honor to talk to them and stuff, and no, she seems like, honestly, Anna seems like that typical caricature of that liberal suburban woman who, I want to help the blacks, but I don't really want them near me. Like, let's fight for rights for Paco, but after I shake his hands, I just need some hand sanitizer because I feel gross now. That's how I see Anna in my head. The snobby liberal who has a savior complex to help us, but despises us at the same time. Yes, she is all about that access journalism. All about it. So it's just a fakeness that comes off from her. And it's a grifterness that comes off from Jank. Honestly, if Jank shut up yelling so damn much, he could probably be more palatable to listen to. But it's just, you just sound like you're fucking whining and crying all the fucking time. Shut the fuck up. Sorry.
Basically, stop bombing babies. I mean, we are beyond parody at this point. They're also calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate Miss Rachel for being a foreign asset or whatever. Once again, just unhinged. But let's turn the table here, shall we, and find out who exactly is funding Stop Anti-Semitism. This next part actually took me a little while because they've actually done a pretty good job of hiding who is behind that group, as they're not a 501c3 nonprofit, meaning they don't have to file any paperwork with the IRS. On their Wikipedia page, it just says that they are a privately funded American advocacy group focused on combating anti-Semitism by exposing individuals perceived by the group as anti-Semitic. A lot of quotation mark usage on my part, I know. The group was founded by this lady named Leora Rez, who is a refugee from the former Soviet Union. Remember her name? We'll get back to her in a second. There's also this article from the Washington Post that reports that the Milstein Family Foundation lists Stop Anti-Semitism as a supported organization on their website. And Adam Milstein is Israeli, served in the IDF, and then moved to America in 1981. But yeah, that's kind of all that's been reported about this organization. That's all we knew up until now. Remember when I said Stop Anti-Semitism doesn't file any paperwork with the IRS? Well, I did a bunch more digging and I found this fundraising campaign for Stop Anti-Semitism. And if we scroll to the bottom here, you'll see an organization called the Morona Leadership Foundation. That is their fiscal sponsor. And as you can see here, it is a 501c3 public charity. So I pulled up the 990 for the Morona Leadership Foundation. And lo and behold, listed as their top officer, Leora Rez. Same lady as before. And their top funder is an organization called the Impact Forum Foundation, which is a, quote, exclusive pro-Israel network of philanthropists to fight anti-Semitism, strengthen the state of Israel, and advance the U.S.-Israel alliance, a super American agenda. Scroll down a little bit more, and we find out that the Morona Family Foundation is tied to a bunch of other NGOs, which I'll read off for you, just a few of these for your sampling, such as the Central Fund of Israel, Israel 21C, the PFE Israel Endowment Fund, Students Supporting Israel, Talk Israel. Like, what the heck is going on here? But yeah, let's investigate Miss Rachel, who teaches kids hide and seek because she might be funded by Qatar. I want us to take a look at that 990 again. We see the address, 15910 Ventura Boulevard, Unit 700, Encino, California, 91436. And that address is registered to none other than one Adam Milstein. Okay, we got a familiar name here. We are definitely on the right track. And 15910 Ventura Boulevard, Unit 700, per Google Street View, looks to be inside this nice-looking modern high-rise. So then I looked up the tenancy records to see that Unit 700 belongs to a Hager Pacific. Well, turns out Hager Pacific is a commercial real estate firm owned by Adam Milstein. Boom. Now everything makes total sense, right? These rabbit holes, sometimes they do lead us somewhere, which is that an advocacy group, Stop Anti-Semitism, is funded by, it turns out, a mysterious nonprofit that is funded by Israel, the Morona Family Foundation, which is then also tied to a massive commercial real estate firm owned by an Israeli citizen. That would be Adam Milstein's Hager Pacific, which is probably where Miss Rez is likely getting her various fake addresses and empty buildings from. Again, these are their real addresses, one in Newport Beach, one in Encino, and a third in Los Angeles. Do with that information what you will. That is it for me this week. What a dig, huh? Let me know what your
Great job. Great job. I know that was kind of a longer clip, but I thought it was important to be able to show that because he really did a good job digging through the rabbit holes and tying all of it together and showing you guys just how much these people use shell companies to try to hide themselves. And the only people who really use shell companies like that is people who are doing something nefarious. If you feel like what you're doing is on the up and up, why would you need to do this much fucking hiding? Why is she hiding from a lawsuit, a defamation suit from a kid? Because they're out there being dishonest. They're lying. And when they get caught lying, they don't want to be honest and just fess up to the fact that they've been fucking lying. Or let's say, for instance, let's say you weren't lying. Let's say you got misinformation. Then stand up and own up that you got misinformation. But this is why people don't trust these organizations like Stop Anti-Semitism. Because they can never admit they're fucking wrong. Where does that sound familiar? Does that not sound like Israel and the IDF? These motherfuckers will never admit fault on any fucking thing. You got to drag the truth out of them. And then when they sit there and they try to tie Zionism and Israel to all Jewish people, when you do that as a whole, what you do is when you lie like this, you make it seem like all of the Jewish people are all liars like this. And this is how you create anti-Semitism, not stop it. So what was the dude's point? Oh, the point what he was showing, Thomas, welcome in. The point that he was showing is that who this lady was backed up by, Adam Milstein, through trying to diversify and put stuff up under a whole bunch of different names, is how he was running his little organization without trying to have it tied directly back to him, by trying to make it seem like it's an organization instead of just a handful of fucking people who are pushing this and using all of his power and weight to make it come across as a respectable organization and not just a handful of people who have a biased view. Because honestly, this is what a lot of this boils down to. This is why TikTok is owned by Larry Ellison. The common thread that you will see, which most of these people who are running this, is some love and affinity for Israel, whether they are from Israel, whether they are Zionists, whether Zionists as in Jewish Zionists, or whether they're Christian Zionists. The common thread is Israel and this faith and belief in Israel. So speaking of that, also, I saw somebody out there that was doing some very interesting work, and they covered something that I was like, I knew that a lot of these people thought this way, but it's so great to hear them finally say it. Just say it. The truth shall make you free, or in different verses, it says the truth shall set you free. Either way, can we just come to a time period where people will just say what's on their mind and say the truth? Stop trying to lie to the public and think you can gaslight us into not knowing what the hell you're up to. We know what the fuck you're up to. It makes you look stupid trying to lie to people who know that you're lying. Jackie is back. Hey. So let's see what I missed. And Anna used to be extreme SJW. Now she is right leaning socially and more a right populist. Yep, she still has that savior. Oh, it definitely has a savior complex. So I wanted to get on to this next one that I'll show that dovetails on to that last part, because what do we just see with the whole Larry Ellison's, this whatever horrid woman who was running this stop anti-Semitism and this Mills thing. In fact, if you think about something at the same time, there's also another kind of thing going on. I think, what was it, for CBS, where they're trying to move in what is that little troll? Barry Weiss. They're trying to move Barry Weiss in to cover, I guess she's going to be kind of like a moderating force to try to decide, content on one of the major network channels. I'm telling you, if you start noticing, and it's part of me, this is a little surreal hearing things which I've noticed and kind of felt I had to keep kind of secretly and be careful and tiptoe on how I said things or whatever, to see only a handful of years later, literally everybody around me is all saying the same thing. It's mind-boggling to me, like something that I talked about on my little smaller platforms, or I kind of hinted around doing and didn't say it directly, because of the immense pressure that came back upon you if you opened your mouth against said people. I mean, hell, I even watched the stream. I don't know. Did you guys see the Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, where they start talking about the people that you can't necessarily criticize? I don't know. What I'll do is I'll pull it up after this clip that I'm going to share. So to cue it up, Due Dissidence had a pretty good, interesting topic. It's called "Zionists Trash America, Urge Jews to Flee for Israel" at New York at NYC event. So I'm definitely not going to play the whole thing of this, but I do want to show some of it. And make sure you guys show them some love going over there, to Due Dissidence, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Check it out. They do some good content. Of course, I don't agree with everything they say, just like I don't agree with everybody, but make sure you guys check them out. They do some good work.
To the Israel Hayom conference. Wow.
Yeah, this was pretty mask off. It's amazing that they're still speaking this way, and it's a result of the fact that they've been able to speak this way for so long without anyone asking any questions and without getting any scrutiny. Now there's scrutiny, but they don't get that. So as Prem Thacker, Hillary Clinton will speak at an event for Israel Hayom, Israel's most read newspaper, run by Israeli-American billionaire and Trump donor Miriam Adelson. She'll join John Fetterman, Eric Adams, Trump UN ambassador Mike Waltz, Biden official Amos Hochstein, and Israeli officials. That is quite a concert there. That is the concert lineup from hell. So yeah, lots of freaks, lots of weirdos.
Amos Hochstein and the J Street Band.
Yeah,
music.
Yeah, exactly. But Martin Scorsese's doing the documentary version.
yeah.
The Last Schmaltz, they're calling this one.
The Last Schmaltz, yeah.
Just your regular reminder of how the empire really works. This from Phantom Pain. In NYC today, Miriam Adelson opens the Israel Hayom Summit with Shalom, New York. Is it still kosher to say that in the Big Apple? Yeah, no, they're driving us out with torches here. Torches, I tells you. And who's front row clapping like a trained seal? Hillary Clinton. This is the same Miriam Adelson whose late husband Sheldon bankrolled Trump's 2016.
I gotta stop this and address something in the chat. I thought this was very interesting. This person here says, Jews and blacks should get along better than anyone. We're both hated. We're both hated for different reasons. Black people are hated for a lot of the propaganda that's put out by who? Black people don't own these telecommunications. Black people don't own a lot of these movie studios. Black people don't control the same music which they put out or the radio stations. There's been somebody who's been sitting there with black people all of this time who have been siphoning and milking off the black community. So it has not been some kind of mutual thing which black people and Jewish people have went through together. If I've been overcharging somebody for something and they have a problem with me, then I should understand, okay, some people are going to be pissed off at me. I have fucked over people. But this is where some of the problem comes in with some Jewish people. Not all. There are elements within the Jewish community who fuck over masses of people. And yet the rest of the Jewish community, many of them, can't understand why people would have any problem with any of these people. This, when you can't acknowledge that that's what's going on, it's what leads to people being pissed off at all of you. I don't get why none of this stuff computes, and it's just common sense. It's just common sense. It's just like, are there criminal elements within the black community? Yes, I understand that. So if I was to just try to defend all black people as a whole, then I look like a fucking idiot. The same as you do when you just try to defend all Jews when you act like none of your people are doing nothing wrong. You act like none of your and not none of your people. You have handfuls of your people who have immense amount of power. We don't have. You can take one Jewish person who's up in a higher position who has way more power than every black person on this fucking planet. So you can't try to put us in the same boat like we're in the same boat together. We are not in the same boat together, not even close. So don't play this "we should be together" shit. If you guys were helping build us up and helping us get to a higher state, then I can say, okay, well, maybe, yeah. But you're not. You're not. You're not on our team. You have not cared about trying to help us as a community. So don't play that game. Sorry, I just had to hop over and say that. And then this whole stop blaming Jews for everything is for, I don't give a damn about what feels old to you. I do not give a damn. Realities are realities. If I walk into a place and everybody there is Chinese who owns it, or at least 70% of the people are Chinese that own it, it's not weird for me to say that, damn, the Chinese own this. When you look at the NBA and you see that they have a heavily black population who are in the NBA, it's not weird to say that blacks dominate the NBA. Hell, you literally got books of Jewish people saying we own Hollywood. And yet y'all try to turn that around to, see, that's anti-Semitism. In fact, I hate the fucking term anti-Semitism because it's a bullshit term. You could say anti-Jewish, that's more accurate, but there's a whole lot of people who are Semites who are not Jewish. In fact, there's a lot of so-called Semites who are fucking over a whole lot of Semites right now over there in Gaza. So don't play this anti-Semitism game with me. I know what these words actually mean. So Jeffrey, don't come in this chat and try to play these fucking games. Not over here. Brandon Tatum is not. Brandon Tatum is Brandon Tatum. Brandon Tatum is what we consider one of the biggest raccoons in our community. He is a disgrace in the black community. So Brandon Tatum carries no weight. And he's very successful because he happily gets on and shits on other black people. And when you know that there is a huge, huge market of hatred for black people, there's a market for black people who get on here and shit on other black people. So that doesn't impress me. I could do that fucking tomorrow if I wanted to. But I have something called integrity. Brandon Tatum Kundis Owens, they don't have any integrity. They care about the dollar. That's it. And they will say any fucking thing they can to get the dollar. I would rather have in fact, and I've told this story on this chat. I've told this story before on a live. My ex-wife, her father was a politician in New York. He told me if I would drop my whole liberal leanings and my leftist leanings, he could have me on Fox News the next day. So I already know for a black person to want to hop over and be a conservative, that's an easy bag. But I'm not here for an easy bag. I'm not here to be a fucking sellout. So don't get on here and try to preach to me about what some fucking sellout said. Yeah, this person here. A very high energy in the conservatives. I know I'd be high in the conservative space if I decided to be a fucking sellout. I'm not going to be some tap dancing monkey over there like them. So waste your time with somebody else who cares about brown nosing white people. I don't. So just had to say that for a moment. You go on ahead and ingest that and take that back to your circles, whether you are some goofy white person who is trying to get me to buy into the BS, or if you're a Jewish person who wants me to shut up and just tap dance for y'all. I'm not doing either. So wasting your time over here, but it always feels good to be able to get that off my chest and say it. So thanks for giving me the avenue to be able to get that out. But let me skip ahead to what he was saying in here. Or I guess I'll finish this, and I think it's to that point. So hold on.
When specifically to secure policies that served a foreign state, and yet Hillary still shows up smiling, nodding, performing loyalty. You see, these people are supposed to be such enemies. The way it fell in the news cycle, we never got to it, but you saw that at the funeral. You saw that at the funeral just now, where they're all Kamala, everybody, they're all buddy, no problems. Left, right, doesn't matter. There's Dick Cheney. We're all supposed to hate Dick Cheney. Rachel Maddow. Ruling class conspires to make a foreign country great at the expense of America's people. You just saw it on stage in Manhattan. Should give this guy a job writing for our Substack, man. That was pretty good. All right, so here's Mike Waltz, our ambassador to the UN, making like Papa Bear and showing how quick he hops to the tune of Ms. Miriam Adelson.
Great honor to have you here on the stage. On behalf of myself and the entire team of Israel Hayom, it's a great honor again to have you here.
I think if I speak for many of us here, if Dr. Adelson reaches out, then we figure out a way to get here.
Great.
We figure out a way to get here. So here she is in her declaration that New York is no longer safe to say shalom in.
And shalom New York. Is the shalom the right say in New York? Shalom. Ambassador Waltz, Rabbi Berman, is it still kosher to say that in the Big Apple? I hope it is. Shalom is internal and universal. It is the peace that we wish upon others when we meet or part ways.
You'd think you'd spend billions of dollars bribing politicians and learn how to speak English a little better. She can barely speak English. She looks like I'm sorry. Miriam Adelson looks like a character out of a Rob Zombie movie. Tell me that is not a Rob Zombie. That's like the Firefly gang, like the Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, exactly.
If he were to do an all Jewish remake of that movie, call it the Devil's Paralegals, she would be the Sherry Moon zombie character. She would be the female character. She looks exactly like she stepped off a Rob Zombie movie set.
Yeah. She's
that was hella funny. But let me skip it ahead a little bit because there's this one part that he was saying towards the end where Russell is talking about some of his trips that he's been taking because he's been traveling a little bit through Asia. And he like something that I didn't even know was going on. He's talking about kebab houses that are popping up all over different parts of Asia, and how they feel like they're being overrun with a lot of Israelis, and a lot of these Israelis are coming over, and they're coming over arrogant and rude and being disrespectful, and it's like, wow, you would think with all the stuff that's going on that if you're going over to another country that you would at least try to go over there, be on your best behavior, not be rude, not be disrespectful. But it's not only just Israelis, they're literal IDF soldiers who are going over there and just being complete fucking assholes in all of these countries over there. They're insulting the local population. They're making Israeli only businesses in this country. They're literally trying to tell the police and stuff that they can't go into parts of their own country. And it's like, wow. I mean, the gall of some of these people that you can go into another country and try to act like it's yours. But it shouldn't be surprising because look at fucking Gaza. Look at the West Bank. Anyway, let me try to find that a little bit further. So here's another part where they're basically trying to get more Jewish people to start fleeing from America to go to Israel. Well, white Jewish people, definitely not any other types.
Say shalom in New York anymore. That's what Miriam said this morning.
No, you can't say
so
shalom.
Just to
in New
pick
York.
up on that,
Yeah.
what I'll tell everybody is skip Miami. If you're leaving New York, just come straight to Israel. There's no reason to make a stop in Florida before you need to come.
You often say that Zionism is economic growth. When we talk about the possibility for 1 million Jews moving to Israel, what is the economic logic behind such a vision? And
Okay. Now listen to this closely. This is not one of the clips that really made the rounds, but it may be the most revealing clip of anything that came out of this conference in regards to what the Israelis are doing and how they're thinking about the future. Listen closely to what he says here.
why is now the right moment?
So first of all, immigration in general always adds to economic growth, except when you bring in, let's call it less qualified immigration. But all immigration to Israel at this point has been contributive to the economy. There's just
blacks. We try not to take blacks.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
If somehow they do get in because they're Jewish, we sterilize them. Well, we don't want to talk about that here.
to study about the billions of dollars that Olim, particularly from North America and Western Europe, have brought to Israel. And I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but they're large. But the Israeli economy is going to go through a transformation now. It's not only going to be high-tech led. We're going to build a finance sector in Israel. That's the first thing that's going to happen. There's new tax laws and regulatory relaxation that's going to happen. And you're going to see beginning already in Q1, hedge funds get set up in Israel so we can become another capital of finance. I'll argue we will beat London within a short decade as a second capital of finance.
We hope so.
It's going to be New York as a gateway to America, Hong Kong a gateway to China, Dubai a gateway to Southeast Asia, and Israel as a gateway to other parts of the world. But I'll add something else. I think the other thing going on right now is IMEC. And we have here in the audience, Daria, wait, raise your hand. Daria Pishavar, her father and I, Shervin, wrote an article together about how there will be peace between Israel and Iran. As President Trump said, they will join the Abraham Accords. And Noor Pahlavi is here. Her Excellency, thank you for joining us. And I think we'll see, by the way, even more regional integration with the 70 million people of Iran and all the other Gulf nations. And as IMEC runs through Israel, the opportunities are literally going to be limitless. And so we will, over the next decade, build this $1 trillion economy. And you can decide.
Yeah, that is after you've cooed off their leaders and then put in your puppets. That's when you'll get that done. Sorry, I had to add a little context for him. Because over here, we read through the fucking bullshit.
Stay here in New York in a declining empire, or you can come to Israel, which is part of the rising middle of the world, which is moving south and east.
Oh, wow.
That's what I encourage you to do.
We are.
I did it.
Okay. All right. So there is a lot to unpack there. Now, what he is describing is a world where American power and Western power generally collapses, and the center of economic gravity moves to the east, so that Israel is positioned to become one of the central hubs of financial activity, moving money, business, IP in and out of Asia because of where it's positioned. It has always been a crossroads to the east. That's one of the reasons that territory has been hotly contested since ancient times and been invaded by everybody who ever passed through that region, because it's in this key strategic position. He's acknowledging, which is something I really don't disagree with, that the East is rising and the West is declining. They have no loyalty at all to, forget about the Western project. Like, look at the way they glom on to these people like Batya Ungar Sargon or Douglas Murray and blow smoke up their asses about the glories of Western civilization and how they're holding the line of the West. They don't give a fuck about the West. They don't care about the West. They are predicting, I don't think wrongly, that the center of gravity is going to shift to the east. And he's saying, hey, we're positioning ourselves to be a major player in that shift. Come to Israel now. Get in on the ground floor. Look at what we're building. Talk about dual loyalty. It's not even dual loyalty.
No, it's disloyalty.
It's disloyalty. They're loyal to Israel first. Now, we did a story last week about how all these Israels are invading all these Southeast Asian countries where they're not just coming as tourists. They're setting up these Chabad houses that are gated, where the local law enforcement are not allowed inside. And, you know, when I heard this, it clicked for me. Like, why are they establishing themselves in these Southeast Asian countries like that? Because you don't just do that. You don't just get a bunch of buddies and virtually colonize these Southeast Asian countries. There's got to be some kind of guiding vision or principle behind that. Now it clicks. Now it clicks. This is why they're setting up. They've got 6 Chabad houses around Thailand. They're starting to get pushback. Not just there, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. They've completely taken over areas in Sri Lanka, and it's becoming a problem, not to mention Cyprus. I noticed this because I'm staying in Luang Prabang in Laos. They got a Chabad house there. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Just to go take a vacation? No, they're setting up colonies around Asia in order to execute the vision that he just described, where Israel will be central to being the gateway to finance in this region. It's also, if you didn't catch it, he mentions a member of the deposed Iranian royal family. So what is their vision? Like, even if you don't like the current administration in Iran, is their vision that they're going to put in a parliamentary democracy if you were to overthrow that? No, he's giving a nod to the royal family. They would be happy to install an aristocracy there because you can control an aristocracy. You're just dealing with a few people, right? It's much easier to control what they do. You just buy them off. And this is why they're pushing so hard to get Americans to move there, because the Israelis are leaving. The Israelis are leaving, so they need to get more Americans to go there. 1 in 4 are considering leaving, and the people who are leaving right now, in spite of what he's saying about tech and finance, heavily oriented around the upper class members of society, as you'd expect. They have the means to leave. A lot of them have citizenship to other countries they can go to. They're losing a lot of doctors, a lot of finance, a lot of tech people. But something that this article actually gets into is immigrants to Israel are less likely to leave because you packed up all your shit. You made that commitment. If you're born there It's you didn't choose to be there per se. It was right after Mamdani was elected. There's one of these Zionist influencer maniacs here in New York. He has a podcast, Yeshai Fleischer. Indeed, it was a great run, and you were a blessing to NYC. But Jews will feel less and less comfortable in the Big Apple. So do yourself a favor. Buy real estate in the land of Israel. It's good for your kids. Oh, yeah. The children of the corned beef. It's good for your money, and it's simply the next chapter in our people's story. Yeah. So this is Mel. Zero loyalty, zero respect. Just suck until it's dry and move on to the next. Yep. There's a Dame Media. Zios are finally revealing what they really think. They never loved America. They loved milking it. Yep.
Exactly. The guy's literally saying, I mean, not literally, but this is essentially what he's saying, is that America sucks. America is on its way out. So rather than stay here and try and fix it, jump ship and move to Israel. How is that? How is that not an anti-American sentiment? And this is why MAGA is collapsing over this, because Zionism is an anti-American movement. That's anti-American. Can't be any more anti-American than that. Yeah, fuck New York. That's part of the dying empire. That's yesterday. America was yesterday. The East is tomorrow, and we're going to be the financial gateway to the East. And so, fuck America. Come to Israel and be rich and happy. That's what he's saying.
And
let everyone here die of overdose. Let them take their fentanyl and their opioids. Fuck them. Who cares? It's a shithole.
Yeah, you'll still have finance in New York for strip mining what's left of the American economy.
Right.
We'll go through that, but we're going to be the gateway to the new empires of the East.
Right.
And I mean, this is my hypothesis, but as soon as I heard that, all this in Southeast Asia clicked for me.
Right.
Like, why are they doing that in such numbers? It takes a bit of coordination. Like, that doesn't just happen organically. They're setting themselves up to take over that part of the world, to dominate it, basically to financially colonize Asia as the center of gravity moves to Asia.
And so, yes, I 1000% agree with Keaton and Russell's assessment here. I think this is exactly what's going on. I don't think they're being subtle. I don't think they're being subtle about this move. It's funny to me. You literally got bomb shelters in Israel, right? So there's some degree of feeling it's not safe. You talk about the Gaza, you talk about this, you say, there's all this sentiment on why they hate Palestinians and why they feel basically, because we'll get this whole it's all smocher, it's all the other little fucking twerk. We get that it's that's what they love to say, but when you do polls in Israel, you see that no, these people all believe a large portion of them believe a lot of the same things. I remember this channel that I used to follow years before this. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called Ass Project. And he would walk around the streets and he would talk to Israelis. He would talk to Arabs and he would ask them various different questions. And it gave me a sense of the population. And so I saw that. And then eventually I saw the Abby Martin, her walking around the streets and talking to Zionists. And I just kept seeing a repeated narrative. So when October 7th happened and the war that came after it, or the annihilation that came after it, hearing that many of the Israelis within that country felt the way that they felt and how much they supported things did not surprise me. When you look at what is that, the MIGA or whatever that thing is, and you have every time you run across it as an Israeli youth, do you love Israel? Do you love Israel? And it's like, fuck, you gotta calm down. Can't you just have a normal conversation? Everything has to jump to, do you love or hate Israel? And because you're so pushy and aggressive, it's very off fucking putting. It's very off putting. And that's for somebody who doesn't know anything about the whole situation. Your first impression that you give is so distasteful. And so, and this is coming from, and it's funny, like, that kid whoever popped into the chat and said what they said, it's kind of funny. I think back to I remember being in school, and this kind of goes into something I thought about doing a video on it, but I was like, I don't know. I saw it on Young Don Reacts, and Young Don was reacting to Antonio Talk's video, and they were talking about basically like black nerd culture and stuff like that. And for me, it's kind of funny hearing them say some of the stuff they're saying, because it obviously shows that it makes a difference with generations and times, because some of the stuff that they're saying, it doesn't stand up to the time period that I grew up in. When you were a black nerd, you were not popular. There was no such thing as it being popular. And some of the stuff that they're into that proves that you're a nerd, it's like some of that shit wasn't out when I was you guys' age. So no, I was like being into anime. Anime wasn't really a thing when I was in middle school or high school. Like that was a major popular thing that was pervasive through American communities, American pop culture. That wasn't a thing at all. But it's just interesting, like watching some of this stuff, and it made me think back to, because I was one of those kids that was a little bit considered a black nerd, even though I was athletic and played sports. I kind of was the first generation of what you would consider more of a hybrid, a kid who was kind of more on the nerdy side, but athlete at the same time. So I had some degree of popularity, and I just kind of straddled both lines. Well, anyway, a lot of girls in that time period, especially a lot of the black girls I grew up with, weren't feeling a lot of the nerdy stuff. And so therefore, I was never one of those people who was like, I only date this type of people or those type of people or whatever. I was always open-minded. And if somebody liked me and they were into me, they were into me, and that's all that mattered. Anyway, to speed this story up a little bit, one of the girls that I became friends with and kind of had a little crush back and forth or whatever, was a white girl. As far as I knew, she was just a white girl. At that point, I didn't even know anything, no concept of Jewish kids, especially not Jewish kids that the people of the Bible are white people. That was not even a thought in my head. Because growing up in Kansas City that I knew of, I didn't even think I knew any Jewish people. Oddly enough, I remember the girl telling me like, no, her father was like, no, I can't talk to you or date you because you're black. And I was like, oh, whatever. Well, later on, oddly enough, because I'm friends with that same girl from middle school on Facebook. Oddly enough, I just found out that she was Jewish. So for that person, it's like, oh, blacks and Jews, we should be together. Bitch, a lot of Jewish people don't even like us, and I didn't even know that Jewish people didn't like us. Had no clue about that. Now I get it for the people who live in the New Yorks or LA, you guys have your back and forth, but a lot of black people who live in other parts of the country don't even interact with Jewish people at all. We don't know about your tropes. We don't know about any of this stuff. So we're coming to it with no bias on the situation. We're coming in cold and we're judging from our own personal reactions, not from what somebody else is telling us. And you guys are setting a tone when you meet us. What'd you say, Marcus? Did you have an emo haircut? No, I did not. And that was something that they were talking about the black nerds. I guess black nerds now, not many of them not getting good haircuts or whatever. No, I always stayed in the barbershop and had a nice fade. Except for when my mom cut my hair and fuck it up and I had to go to the barbershop. That's a whole nother story. But no, did not have an emo haircut. always had, the fade for a little while. Had the high top fade back in the 90s, but most of the time kept a bald fade. And so it wasn't the clothes, it wasn't the hair, it was, and it's not, and I don't even think that it's unique to the black community. I think a lot of girls in general like bad boys. And if you're not a bad boy, a lot of girls aren't interested in that. So Not sure what an emo haircut is. Yes, you don't have to be. That's all right. Um, says young Morpheus was in anime I didn't even know about anime. Like I wasn't even into video games really. Like back in that time, when I was in teens, a lot of kids, even though like Nintendo and stuff were starting to come out, a lot of kids weren't really into it. Like they weren't playing games for hours and hours on end. Your parents weren't allowing you to. They're like, get your ass outside and go play. Um, and so we were outside a whole lot more, didn't get into the video games and stuff. But was I into stuff like science and stuff that other kids didn't care anything about and studying like solar systems and chemicals and chemical reactions and different things like that? Yes. Studying history and stuff. That's where I was looked at as a nerd, not because I like Naruto or some shit. I don't even know what Naruto is, by the way. Like some of them, they were talking about the anime and stuff and talking about, oh well, Power Rangers. Like I was in the time period when like Power Rangers was out, and I even remember kind of aging out of the Power Ranger phase. Like that's something that came out while I was in my teens, you know. So a lot of the whole cartoon stuff was like an afterthought. So I found out I'm technically considered a Xennial. That would be what I'm considered, where you're born on the cusp of being Generation X. So a Xennial is somebody who experienced parts of the Generation X, but also had kind of the experiences of the millennials at the same time. So I remember being a latchkey kid and Thundercats and playing with lawn darts and some of the dangerous toys and, you know, it being a crazier time. And then also when computers start being introduced, like I remember having an intro to computer science, and that was to kind of get us familiar with computers. And then also by the time like my senior year came around, I think I was on, was it not MySpace? I was on Black Planet, and that was like the first like social media thing. And then I remember the AOL chats and stuff like that a little bit before that. But like the generations who grew up with smartphones and all that, think about it. Like smartphones for me didn't come out until I was in like I would have been at least in my mid to late 20s when smartphones came out. So I wasn't in that generation of kids who always had a phone. I was in that generation of kids who if you had money or balling, you had a pager. That was fancy if you had a pager in high school. Like mostly only like lawyers and doctors had like pagers. So that was already fancy. And if you did have a cell phone, it was a brick of a cell phone. It was a big ass, like solid Nokia that came out. And I remember one kid who did have one. That kid was also like 14 with a beamer and selling drugs and all that too. But that's a whole nother conversation. But it was not normal to have, you know, a cell phone. Said Black Planet sounds like a naughty website. Nah, Black Planet was the shit back in the day. I was on Black Planet and I was on Mejente. Mejente was the Spanish version of Black Planet. And so I had both of those. And then they tried to come out with like a little Asian one shortly after. That one was short-lived. And then I want to say MySpace came out after that. So MySpace came out, I'm going to say while I was in the Navy. I remember having a MySpace page, I think, in the Navy. And then as I was getting out of the Navy, or probably out of the Navy around that time, I remember Facebook coming out around that time. So like I had already been out of high school all and all that before most of these main social media shit came around. There was one in California called Amigo Star. It was MySpace for Latinos. Oh wow, I never heard of that one. But also at the same time too, me going overseas, I kind of got out of the loop with a lot of things that were going on in the States, at least for a good handful of years. So I would say anywhere from like 99 to at least around 2005, it's hit or miss what stuff in the States that I was attached to or able to keep up with, because a lot of that stuff was not going on overseas the same. It was overseas had a whole different kind of feel. Because like I remember I think I was on X the other day and they were talking about some song and like blown away. Like this one guy was like, I never heard of that song. And I was like, don't worry, bro, I never heard of that shit either. And everybody was like jumping down his throat. Oh my God, you never heard of this song? Come to find out, it was a huge song that came out in the UK. And I'm like, that's why. And I remember getting overseas, like, and there were certain songs that were huge over there that didn't cross over. So like I remember coming back to the States and like one of the new artists that was big at the time that I got into and then brought it back to the States, Craig David. Nobody was listening to Craig David. They were like, who the hell is this guy? And never heard of him. And so it was kind of interesting. Like I remember some of my peeps back home when Nelly was first coming out, sending me stuff over there, and that's how I knew about Nelly. But like a lot of the active duty troops over there didn't know about Nelly until you came back stateside. So it's kind of a weird era. And then also, if you factor in from when I went into boot camp during your boot camp period, you're like, it's almost like being in jail. You don't know anything that's going on now on the outside. You have no clue what's going on for a good handful of months, or at least when I was in. He said, I've never heard of Blown Away, but if I play Blown Away on YouTube, it might be familiar. Blown Away, are you talking about the movie Blown Away? With the U2 song in it? That's what I think of when I hear Blown Away. I look like a Latino when I got a beanie on. So they say, oh man. Like I remember of course 7 Days was big on, had a lot of airplay. And then Walking Away was like huge, not only in the UK, but I remember being in Greece and Turkey and places like that, and they were bumping that everywhere. I couldn't even tell you any like of the 2000 or the stuff that was 99, 2000 or whatever that was big in the States. Anyway, I went way off into a tangent. My bad, y'all. Yes, that boot camp is jail. I really didn't know what was going on for a time period in boot camp. Like, it is weird because you go a couple of months and you're like, you'd be surprised how much stuff can change in a say a 3-4 month period. You'd be surprised, and I guarantee it's even faster now with how fast technology and things move. But I want to say probably about maybe the mid 2000s, like maybe 2004, 2005 is when more of the transfer got faster between international stuff. And so anything that's coming out like that's big in like 2006, 2008, it's a whole lot easier that somebody overseas would be familiar and going through that same experience at the same time as somebody in the States. Wasn't that the name of the song that was a big hit in the UK around the early 90s? I'm not sure about early 90s, but it might. When did that movie come out? I think Blown Away was mid 90s. Or let's see, Blown Away was 93. But let's see lyrics. Oh yeah, when I put Blown Away, it comes up Carrie Underwood, so that's not the one. But when I look up the movie Blown Away, the song that was big on that Blown Away movie soundtrack was With or Without You. That was the big U2 song at the time. And that song was huge everywhere because U2 was performing back and forth. So, yeah. I remember discovering an old VHS recording of Thundercats, a 7 years old box. It was my uncle's who recorded for the kids 10 years earlier. I remember watching Thundercats. Thundercats was the only cartoon that came on at night. So I was like, oh shit, this is cool as hell. Had a cartoon that came on at night. And then you even had shows that were like soap operas at night. So you had, what was it? Knox Landing and like Dallas and stuff like that. I don't know. You watch some of those shows, and it transports you into like a different time. In my opinion. Let's see. What else did I have that I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, the double tap. That's what I put in. And oh no, here. Let me poll everybody first. You guys want me to hear? Do you guys want to hear me talk more about the hex up thing, the double tap, or we keep going down memory lane and talking about pop culture? Because I can go either way. I definitely dig pop culture. You said I can't stand you too. I like maybe that one song, and I think because how it fits with that movie is just so perfect, and it reminds me of the different way they did filmmaking, the way they developed the characters, and you got to see the characters have personality that was unique. It didn't feel generic and forced. Well, isn't hex up and double tap related? That's what I'm talking about. That's the double tap that I was talking about. Hex up. 2002 He-Man remake was pretty awesome. Also, I didn't know there was a He-Man remake in 2002. I only know about the Dolph Lundgren one that was in the 90s, I think. Thundercats remake 2011. I didn't even know they did that. I think that's probably when I was doing a lot more protesting and stuff, and so I was probably all tied up into my protest stuff. When I was not Vote Vets. Vote Vets had already started falling apart at that time, but it was what Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, and I was also doing some of the Occupy stuff still around that time period. Yeah, some of the Occupy stuff, some of the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans protest, and then I was doing some of the wounded. That's when I used to go to the events. I mean, I still get the letters every now and then from Wounded Warrior Project, which they'll set up like free little events for us to show up and kind of congregate with other fellow Wounded Warriors. And so I don't know. I guess just once I moved out here to California, I haven't really done as much of that stuff. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about the HexF thing. As you guys know, that the Trump administration has been firing on ships off the coast of Venezuela. There's been a big story that's been kind of going around that with HexF, because there was a boat that they fired on, and per rules of engagement, whenever there's somebody who's not a threat anymore and they're trying to give themselves up for surrender, or they're not shown to be able to be any kind of threat, you are not supposed to fire on them. You're supposed to take them into custody. And it came out earlier that HexF ordered them to go around and fire, making that a double tap. I guess I'll just kind of finish saying and laying everything out. He claims that he said that he watched the whole thing, and then later on he came out and said, no, I watched, everything was all smoky. It's the fog of war. You couldn't necessarily see everything. But this general over here, he made the choice to go on ahead and fire on them again. And when he fired on them again, not that we were against it, we support him firing on them again because it was his perfect rights to do this or whatever. But he's the one who actually made this call. I honestly think this is the stuff that when you had all those Democratic Congress people who were talking about if you were given an unlawful order you have the right to not follow, which everybody who's active duty should know that and should listen to those words carefully, because when the Trump administration is over, when they don't have power, when the House loses power, they're going to be able to start subpoenaing people. They're going to be able to start, pulling people in front of Congress. And say, for instance, not only does the Trump administration lose the House, let's say something goes even crazier and they lose the Senate also. You're going to have a lot of people who are going to be called to answer. You're going to have and Trump, even if Trump did try to do this third term stuff, look at Trump's health. I don't see that dude. I don't see him making it that long. I don't see it possible to drag it out that long. Now, if they can, will they try to pull a Biden situation where you almost got the president as a weekend at Bernie's? I think they would try, but I just think that Trump's health is not good enough for him to be able to make it a third term. Hell, dude look like he barely hanging on right now. He's barely at a year. So another 3 years from now, what the hell? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump dies in office. I really would not be surprised. So just putting that out there. I don't see Trump doing another third term, even if he wanted to. But after Trump is over and that cover of Trump being there is gone and Republicans are not in power, a lot of these people who are just being yes men for Trump are going to end up finding themselves in prison. A lot of these people are going to find themselves in prison. And I think that's the reason why you had that one general who stepped down real quick. He was like, yeah, you're not about to get me caught up. I'd rather resign than play these games. And I think some of these generals who are, I was just following orders, it's not going to matter. Nobody's going to give a damn, because they're going to look at, you know what, you had the opportunity to step away. And, in all honesty, you did have a bunch of people who decided they were going to leave the State Department. They were going to leave, leave the military, especially after Hegseth's last speech. You had a lot of generals like, you know what, time for me to put in my retirement paperwork, because a lot of times when you're a general, you've already well exceeded the amount of years that you need to put in. I mean, you only have to do 20 years for retirement. A lot of times for you to make general or admiral, you've probably been in more than 25 years. Some of these guys have been in it maxing out. They're hitting 30 years plus. And I think there's an exception once you make admiral or general, you're able to go past the 30 years. If they didn't, and let's say that they were a colonel or a captain, they at 30 years they would max out and have to get out, because they kind of hit higher tenure. But once you're admiral, I think that I don't think it caps off. I think you can just keep going. I don't know if there's, maybe you can go to 40 years and then maybe they force you out at that point. But once you get over that 25, 30 years, they could put in paperwork and be out tomorrow. At that point, they're not held to these, oh, well, you got your 3-year contract. Actually, really, there's no such thing. It's really a 3-year contract, just to educate people about, like, especially the American military. When you sign a 4-year contract, you actually sign an 8-year contract. And you sign a 2-year contract, you actually sign an 8-year contract. It just breaks down to how much of that time is active duty and how much of that time is inactive reserve time. So when you sign that 4 years, after you get out, though you're a civilian, you walk around civilian clothes, you got regular, you can grow beards and do whatever the hell. You don't have to fall up under any of those kind of military standards. You have a job, you move, whatever. You're not reporting to the military, anything. But within that 4 years after you get out, you are still under Uniform Code of Military Justice. And so if you do something that they find that's illegal, they can bring you up on military charges still after you've been out for a couple of years. And so that's the same thing. If somebody did a 2-year military term, they have 6 years of inactive time. So most of the time, there's always that inactive time that's sitting there. Unless after you hit your first enlistment, and then after the first enlistment, after you've done that 4 years active, 4 years inactive, or let's say you do 8 years, you're at 8 years and you do an extension for 4 more years. That's only that 4 more year extension. Then I think it goes to like a 2-year like reserve period where they can still recall you and do it. That's the reason why you're inactive reserves. They can still recall you and shit like that within that time period. And when you retire after 20 years, if you retire after 20 years, they can bring you back pretty much whenever. If you still fit within, actually, no, sorry. If you retire as an enlisted, they can bring you back for up to 20 years, I believe. But if you retire as an officer, they can bring you back for life. So some of these people I think that they are setting themselves up, and they're taking this short-term glory and floating around. People like Cash Patel, Bongino, whatever, they're going to be sitting in front of Congress a lot probably within the next 10 years. I guarantee you that. Hexep, I wouldn't be surprised, is going to prison. I can tell you that even the Bondies and all these people, there's going to be a lot of people digging through the shit that they've been in. Tom Homan, people like Tom Homan might be, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in a jumpsuit. They can go on ahead and do all this crap and think that they're protected because Trump told them to do it. But according to your oath, you are not supposed to follow any unlawful orders. You have the right to refuse an unlawful order. Also, I've heard that what's his name? Patel has been doing reprisal on people, which that's illegal. You can't go after people because you're pissed off at them. Ooh, they reported me, so now I'm going to go and make your life a living hell. So I think there's a lot of people within the Trump administration that are setting themselves up for a very dangerous spot. So hopefully they're setting aside their money. Hopefully they're doing their money laundering properly to have money set aside, because I think these people are playing with fire. And I think that most of them are just dumb enough to not realize the danger that they're putting themselves in. You said that's like getting out of penitentiary or I mean, kind of is. It kind of is. I mean, I think a lot of these people are they're going to be in a lot of fucking trouble once Trump is no longer around. I think also the Republican Party is just going to be in a lot of trouble as a whole, because they have tied themselves so much to Trump that they're not building up the bench, and they're doing the same thing that they did by putting Biden in. Not that I think any of these people are a great talent or, would have made any kind of great president or anything, but the fact that they're not allowing anybody, they didn't allow anybody to get out of Biden's shadow. They didn't allow anybody to become the next Obama. So by not doing that, you leave your bench very, very weak. And I think the Republicans are doing that with Trump, since there's no oxygen for anybody else to start trying to rise up. That's the reason why you're going to have candidates like Gavin Newsom and probably AOC who are going to run, and probably on the right you'll probably have a Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know. She says she's not going to run, but I guarantee you that there's going to be people who are going to try to get her to run. Whether she does it or not, it's a different story. But I think that there's definitely going to be an appetite for people who are going to see her and a Thomas Massey possibly run for president. Oh yeah, I wish I would. Dang, when I was talking about when we were bringing up the Israel thing, well, we had those couple of nincompoops in here earlier. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco were talking about the people you can't talk to, people you can't talk about, and it's like when you get to the levels of a Ocho Cinco and a Shannon Sharp or a Chad Johnson. When you get to that level as elite athletes and you're dealing with multi-millions of dollars, you know who you're dealing with at the top level. You know who the agents are. You know who own these damn teams. I mean, when that person hopped in here, I'm like, do you know I did a video probably like 5 years ago going into in different industries, like how the NBA is the owners of the NBA, 60% of them are like Jewish, like 50% of the NFL is Jewish. Like I could go down every all of these major pro sports league. The owners of the teams, it ranged from 40% on the low end to 60% on the high end are Jewish. How can you pretend you don't have power when you're 2% of the population and yet you manage to dominate half of all of these leagues? I mean, the NBA, for instance, has had what, like, was it 6 commissioners, 7 commissioners, and out of the 6 or 7 commissioners, 4 of them have been Jewish. The Treasury Secretary of our country, if you look out of the past 20 years, it's literally like 9 out of 10 are. When you look at half of the banks, when you look at the movie studios, that's known. When you go through the music industry and you start seeing just company after company after company after company, you can't get on here and try to tell me that bullshit. It don't have to be all, but the fact that Jewish people are so massively overrepresented in so many different powerful fields, you can't act like that doesn't give you any power. If I run a business, I have power over that business. If I own a company, I have power over that company. That means I have power over a bunch of different people. It's 1 + 1 is 2. It's that simple. If I run a record label and everybody who's in the chat, let's say all of you guys and everybody else who will possibly listen to this, all you guys work for me. Let's say it's a couple hundred people who are up under my purview. I write the checks for all of these people. If I'm writing your check, you telling me that doesn't give me some kind of leverage over you? If you're an artist and you want to get an album out and you want to talk about what happened in Rwanda in your album, and I don't want that out there, you tell me that doesn't give me power? If I say, no, I want to hear more of that song where you're talking about booty shaking and going and shoot a couple of YNs in Chicago, that's what I want you to put out. And then I go over to my buddy over here, my best friend, who is also another black person like me, who's like, yo, I want you to put out this song. This is the songs that I'm going to let get airplay. Your other songs, no, shelve that shit. You telling me that don't give no fucking power? This is the reason why I have so many problems with these people, like that person who hopped into the chat, which pisses me off, is you piss on people's head and try to tell them it's raining. Bitch, we're not stupid. We see what the fuck is going on. And this is what makes people angry. When you try to insult their intelligence, tell them what's going on is not what's going on. Yes, Jackie, yes, to answer the question, there are different ranks of generals and admirals. Being, the 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, and general, it's like lieutenant general, major general. So there's different ranks within the generals and the admiral. It's like rear admiral, lower half, rear admiral, upper half. And so there's different ranks. But back on my little tangent, you can't sit there and try to gaslight, and that's the reason why I will put out a due dissidence, because they're calling it out and they're Jewish. They're not gonna, that I have respect for that. When you can call out BS that you see that's going on and be honest, that doesn't mean that you're doing the BS. And that's something that I think is a problem within that community, that a lot of Jewish people feel like if they call out what is clearly obvious that some of their people are doing, somehow it implicates them and puts them at risk. No, it doesn't. It makes you look culpable. It makes it look like you're trying to cover for the people who are doing horrendous shit. For instance, when I hear a lot of these white supremacists online and they go after black people, oh, the crime and when a dude who's been shooting up houses or robbing people, do you think black people are jumping in front of the police and trying to stop that person from getting arrested? Fuck no. We're like, no, you're a cancer to our community. You're an embarrassment to us. I'm glad your ass is in trouble. Yes, lock him up, throw away the fucking key. Now, maybe his mama, maybe some of his people in his family are like, no, free Ray Ray. But the rest of the people's like, no, fuck Ray Ray. And I feel like when other communities know that they got problems within their community and they try to cover for those people who are the problems in their community, or they try to pretend things are not a reality that's in their community, that's when you have a fucking problem. That's when you start to piss people off. And like I said, again, I didn't even grow up knowing that in fact, probably into what I want to say, probably even into my mid 30s. If you ask me, do I know any Jewish people? I would have definitely. In fact, I'll take it even further than that. I'll tell you, even into my early 30s, mid 30s, I would have told you, yeah, I don't personally know any Jewish people because there was like one or two Jewish kids I grew up with that I had no clue that they were Jewish. They never mentioned it. It never was an issue one way or the other. So growing up, I didn't have a pro or a con towards Jews. I didn't care. It wasn't an issue. And even though I was so embedded in the church growing up, when we talked about the Israelites in the Bible, nowhere ever in my mind did I connect Jewish people, people that call themselves Jewish people, to the people of the Bible. That never computed until later on. I remember people are like, yeah, you do realize, Jewish people, like, yeah, they go back to Israel. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're saying like they go back to Israel like the people in the Bible, Israel? And then my common sense was like, so let me get this straight. You're trying to tell me that a whole bunch of white people were in the Middle East with no sunblock out there building shit for tens of hours out in the hot ass sun? I don't buy that shit at all. Not even close. And then even when you read into the Talmud, it literally tells you that their people were like boxwood. It literally tells you that they were brown. And then what they'll say is, oh, well, when that contingent left from Israel after the Roman wars, and then I'm forgetting after the last regiment that came out after the Bar Kokhba revolt, when they left and they went into Rome, they kind of immersed somewhat into the Roman world. But then you have the Colonimus family, and then the Colonimus family and all them who left off to the area what would be modern day Ukraine. And I'm like, even if you are bloodline from there, how much mixing that has happened, and mixing for you to try to claim that you're the bloodline people and that you connect definitely to King David. That's the equivalent of Elizabeth Warren claiming her 1%, Native American ancestry is making her a Native American. Yeah, you got that 1% that's left. Most of you is what? Most of you is something else. That's like if I found out that like I'm 1% Korean, does that stand up to any of y'all gonna believe that I'm fucking Korean? No. But yet this group of people will fucking take that narrative. Yeah, I got this 1% of me that traces back to some part of the Middle East that I can't even tell you that it connects back to. Because when you actually look at these DNA tests, it actually will say that you trace back to the why come I can't remember what that's called? Y'all need to help me out. The Levant, there it is, Levantine. I trace back to Levantine DNA. Well, do you know what Levantine DNA or the Levant is? That is Israel. That is what would be considered the Edomites land. That would be considered all that would be, Babylon. That would be there would be a whole bunch of different places. That would be Saudi Arabia. That's all of those places are all part of the Levant. So how do you trace that you are from this part of the Levant when it doesn't break down that way, and migration patterns all through that area throughout the whole time that it's been known to have been a place is completely muddled and mixed with everybody from fucking everywhere? There is no way that you could trace anybody. There's no DNA test that can trace anybody to that region. It's impossible. Because you've had people from everywhere, people from different parts of Europe, people from different parts of Africa, people from different parts of Asia. It has been conquered by the Greeks. It's been conquered by the Romans. It's been conquered by the Assyrians. It's been conquered by the Syrians. It's been conquered by the Babylonians. It's been conquered by the Egyptians. It's been conquered by the Nubians. It's been conquered by so many different people. There is no way you could track anybody's DNA to that area to know who the hell is who from that area. So anytime you hear somebody talk about my DNA tracks you back, you're full of shit. Nobody on earth can track themselves to that land. Now, the only thing you could track is, let's say you believe in the Bible and it says these prophecies. And if you believe in those, then you could kind of go off of the signs and wonders that it says. But if you don't believe in that and you're trying to go by science, there is no scientific way to prove shit. Unless somebody has found the bones of King David somewhere and can prove it. But you know what? You can't find any bones from any of these different. I mean, you're talking about the bones of King David. You have to find bones that are from like, let's say 5,000, 6,000 BC. Who can track that? How could you know for a fact that it is that when they try to do carbon dating on different things, and they've not been accurate with that? They've said some stuff is 5,000 years, 10,000 years, is a million years. They don't know what any of this stuff is. They're just throwing out guesstimations, and they cannot prove none of their claims. So to believe in any of these DNA tests, you're being taken for a ride, and just know it. No bullshit when you hear it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on this little tangent, but maybe it's just something that I need to get off my chest. Because I hear these people talk this shit, and it's nonsensical. You have no way to prove any of the stuff you're saying. And also, even when you try to prove the stuff you're saying, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I've heard Jewish people say, oh, we built the pyramids. For one, even if you talk to Jewish historians, they'll tell you the Jews didn't build pyramids. Do you know what they built? And I'm talking about biblically or historically, what it says that they built. They built granaries to house grain. The pyramids were already there. Granaries are something completely different. But even then, you built the granaries. Show me the proof that you, in fact, if you built the granaries, I want to see an Ashkenazi go out and go and work in the sun with no shirt on for 10 hours a day. In fact, you don't even need to do it 10 hours. Do it for 6 hours straight. And I'm talking about not doing this shit in no Minnesota. Go do that shit and go do that in Arizona for 6 hours a day. And let me see how long that shit works. How long you last doing that. That's how much I'll buy that. In fact, not one. I need to see at least like 10 of you do it. You can always have that one off, somebody who could just struggle through it. But I want to see how many white people out here can last 6 hours in the sun with no UV protection, no nothing. No shirt on, just out there. And if you believe the modern population, Ashkenazis, they was doing that shit, then I got a bridge to sell you. So I'm sorry. I probably went way too far off in the deep end. They're going to cancel me tomorrow. Oh, well, it is what it is. It was nice seeing y'all. No, I'm just playing. I mean, hey, if they come after me, they come after me, whatever. I mean, I'm just using reasoning and what makes sense to me and what doesn't. Oh yeah, I was supposed to talk about that DC that January 5th bombing thing, but I think I've gotten enough. I don't need to go into that. I think it's some funny business going on with that too, and um I don't know. Even if it's not funny business going on and the dude actually did it, I think he's just basically claiming he's a Trump supporter so that he could so that he can get some so he can possibly get his sentence commuted or get pardoned. Um they couldn't last the chain gangs in Georgia. I don't know, man. I'm just using logic, and I already know it. In this day and age, you're gonna piss people off, and it is what it is. If it's diamond encrusted, if I had the money, I might be interested. I would just like to see people prove some of the stuff that they be saying, and it just doesn't add up. It's a lot of just BS on the internet. So I just want us all to have critical thinking skills. And even saying that, even though I have my issues with Zionists, I'm not out here wishing harm on anybody. I'm not out here threatening anybody. I'm just saying I don't have to believe what you're telling me. I don't have to buy it. Other people can buy it if they want to. I don't have to buy it. And me not buying it does not make me an evil person, doesn't make me be a bad person, doesn't make me harming you. Doesn't make me advocating for harm to you either. It's just me saying I don't believe the bullshit that you tried to tell me. So I guess that said, I will end it there. Thank you so much for everybody joining me. And Till, shout out to Till. Hopefully she's having a great and marvelous evening. Thank you for everybody who, if you hopped in here for 5 minutes earlier, if you hate watched, thank you also. If you're sharing it, thank you also. If you're going to watch this later, thank you also. If you're in the chat right now and you're watching me live, thank you. You could be anywhere else. You can be doing anything else, but you decided to spend the time and listen to just piddly old me rant and rave about what the hell's on my mind and bring up stories that I felt were interesting to bring up to you all. That said, this has been the Political Matrix. I'm your host, Marcus Young Murphy's Cage. Y'all have a great weekend. Nothing but blessings hopefully befall all of you. Good luck to anybody whose teams are trying to stay alive in the playoff picture. Mine is one of them. Tom, my brother, yes. Marcus, much love and respect. Much love and respect to you also, my brother. And I mean, if I'm not able to join you tonight, hey, echo some of my sentiments of what I was talking about on here. I would love for you to be able to pass that on, and I would love, even if I can't hop on, to sit and listen to you guys and hear you guys bring up some of the things I talked about, especially the part which Due Dissonance was talking about with a lot of Israelis moving to lots of parts of Asia and setting up shop. I think that's a conversation that needs to be brought up and focused on, because before you know it, you're going to have, enclaves in these countries and start, taking up areas and doing different things. And just like how I know Yonina's onto this, how we've seen where China has went into certain parts of Africa. Now, the difference is they were offering things and it was kind of a partnership, and then they kind of start backdooring and doing some shady shit. That's a whole nother matter. But these people are going in as tourists, abusing tourist visas, staying over, building up shops, telling the local people that they can't even come and do business there, which that some of that was going on in Africa also. I don't know. I just think that when you go into other people's countries, you need to show these people respect. Period. Even though I know in America, a lot of different groups show a lot of disrespect and racism and hatred towards people like me, it doesn't mean I'm going to walk into that country and treat all those other people the same way that some of these piece of shit people have treated me and think about me. it's on you to decide how you're going to treat other people. You have no power on how other people try to decide to treat you. So hopefully, you know, everybody takes in something that, if there's anything that's said that you take as a nugget of truth or some kind of wisdom that can help you in any kind of way, hopefully I did. Or if not, and I was just entertaining, hopefully that too. But that said, this Political Matrix. Again, love y'all all. I will talk to you guys all later. Also, I'm probably gonna start adding some other things on this channel, so look forward to that. Look forward to Justin, I think, swinging by next week, so you guys will get to meet him. And I don't know, looking for more things for the future of this show. Make sure you guys go check out Saturday Night Anarchy. Make sure you guys go check out Extra Bulla. Go check out, you know, Warren and The Undercurrent. You know, all these great, you know, shows out there. Make sure you guys show them patronage, because this is the only way that you keep these conversations and stuff going, especially in the long form content, by, you know, engaging. And me, I'm going to be here, even if it's only two of you guys to come and talk to me. The more the merrier, of course, but as long as I feel like I have a perspective to add, which I feel like is not being added, I'm going to be talking. The moment that I feel like somebody is saying everything that I say and I'm no longer needed, I have no problem with moving to the background. This isn't about, you know, me just feeling I'm so super important or whatever. I just feel I'm filling a void of things that I don't feel that have come out the way I would say them. So that's it. I'm gonna get on out of here. Y'all have a great night. So I'll be here with you. Do the great work, Marcus. Exactly. Somebody got to be out here speaking the truth. Somebody got to be out here engaging minds, keeping us thinking. Critical thinking is not criminal yet, so keep doing it while you can. All right. And we are out.
There is discrimination in this world, and slavery and slaughter and starvation. Governments repress their people. Millions are trapped in poverty, while the nation grows rich, and wealth is lavished on armaments everywhere. These are differing evils, but they are the common works of man. They reflect the imperfection of human justice, the inadequacy of human compassion, our lack of sensibility towards the suffering of our fellows. But we can perhaps remember, even if only for a time, those who live with us are our brothers, that they share with us the same short moment of life, that they seek as we do, nothing but the chance to live out their lives in purpose and happiness, winning what satisfaction and fulfillment they can.